stream will start immediately despite me not scheduling it. I've not done a unscheduled stream in a long time, so if you'd forgive me for a moment, I'm going to leave for just a moment while I get something organized. I'll go over here. I'll turn this off. And where's my Stargate? Oh, there it is. Okay, good. Okay, good. We're going to let the chat arrive, and then I'm going to start speaking again. So we're going to let this quantum core kind of spin around into the background for a moment. I don't expect many people to show up right now anyway, because realistically, I got the stream started a little bit late. You know, unfortunately, I had a few things back me up today. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and just make some adjustments on my end. And then we'll get on with the topic of today. Oh, wow, we got James in the chat already. Cool. Hey, what's up, James? I'm just going to quickly turn on the chat plugin that we use. Oh, since you're here, good, I can make my dramatic entrance. Yeah, you heard right. I'm going to do a dramatic entrance. I'm going to do the movie sound effects. You know, it makes the sound. It sounds like a bunch of weeping dolphins. If you've seen the original Stargate movie, you'll know what I'm talking about. There we go. That's my dramatic entrance. I'm going to maybe make that into an intro. I had this bright idea today. I was like, what if I use the sound effects from the movie, which I originally excluded because I used that video on other people's streams, and I wanted to, like, you know, like, not get people in trouble with their own streams, you know? So I figured a video clip is a little bit safer than the video and audio together. But yeah, let me just turn on the browser extension that allows us to see the chat on screen, all right? And then we'll get this show on the road. YouTube chat plugin. Where is it? There it is. Live chat overlay. Let's refresh it. Yeah, there we go. Got a big fat jumboized button on the screen. Then I gotta make this one jumbo like that. And then I gotta hope it works. It might work. It might not. You know, win some, lose some, right? I don't even know what a chat button is. I've been messing with my OBS settings so much. Ah, here it is. I found it. Yeah, that looks about right. Boom. All right, good. Do we have any objects on the screen? I don't think so. That's good. Let me just make a quick adjustment here. Okay. And let's click on the chat to make sure that works as expected. Use sound effects from artists. It's completely annoying. Hey, the chat message didn't come up. Oh, there we go. Oh, that's not good. There we go. That's a little better. So yeah, we're going to do a little streaming science today, guys. And gals, if there's any gals present right now. And, you know, we're just going to kind of like, I'm going to share with you guys what I did, like, earlier today while tinkering around. Because, you know, a while back, well, like a few weeks ago, another YouTuber who sometimes pops into the chat, a Vtuber, a real Vtuber, as opposed to me who does it like more like a side thing. They started using a 3D Vtuber model. So I was like, I got to try this. And I finally got around to it. And what I did was, well, I guess I could just show you what I did. So I'm going to open up an application called Vroid Studio. But before I do, I should show you the app I'm using right now. But, oh, before I do that, I have to make sure I got the chat on all of my screens. See, look, the chat is behind stuff. See, that's how much I've been messing with OBS. Uh-oh. My corner model is blocked by the chat. You're still in the spotlight for me, guys. That'll have to do. See, unfortunately or fortunately, there is a lot of margin to the left. And that's because this model can go like that far. And it's got pretty good head tracking to it, you know? And yes, it's missing the hand tracking. We're going to get to that, and I'm going to share with you guys the challenges associated there. And in fact, we're going to just put the chat behind the VTuber model. Just easier until I get around to resizing it. Yeah, that'll work. I could always move my head if we have trouble reading the chat. But yeah, this app here is called VC Face. Because it's, I guess, you can see my face or my non-face. Not like the movie Face Off. Even their little hand-like things that appear to have a thumb in the outboard position. Oh, well, we got something there. What's up, David Glenn? Good to see you, bud. So now I can share with you the cutting edge research I've been doing, and I just put my fist up and you didn't see it. So we're definitely going to show you that too, guys. So yeah, this is VC Studio, and I was tinkering around with it, and you hit the space bar to see that little X in the corner, and then clicking that little X in the corner brings up the controls. And I don't know what leap trap this part does. It doesn't seem to help me do anything, so I'll have to investigate that. But essentially, if you click here or you press the letter R, it resets your position. So if I start looking like a little derpy or my head gets stuck to the corner, that's what we do. So right now, maybe what I'll do is I'll reset my position. I'll look forward. It helps to have like a duplicate monitor screen of OBS in front of you. I press the letter R. And now when I'm looking at my webcam, it looks like this. When I look at my right monitor, it looks like this. Now, typically, this is what it would really look like. And so usually what I do is I put my camera, my live camera, in the bottom right corner. But if I'm in the bottom left corner and I'm looking at my right side monitor, that looks a little weird. So even though in reality, if you were looking at me on camera, it would be logical for me to look to my right like I'm doing now. If you pretend that I'm inside my screen, it makes more sense that I'm looking to my left. So anyway, that's why I flipped the mirror position. And I didn't show you how the app opens, but basically, when you open the app, you tell it what camera to do the tracking with. Now, that's where I ran into an issue right before the stream, but we'll get into that later. Basically, the gist of it is you can only have one application talking to your webcam, right? So I thought if I used the Elgato virtual camera, and my audio seems a little loud. I got to adjust that. Yeah, let me see something. Well, I don't have to adjust it, but I do want to adjust that filter real quick. Because the gain on that is a little dastardly, you know? So we're going to just bring that down by 0.9 dBs. Okay, there we go. Less red. Okay, good. So, anyway, yeah. So, typically you could have one application reading your webcam, or you could have, you know, like... Hey, why isn't the thing going away? Oh, I see. You could have one application, you know, reading from your webcam at a time, and the microphone, you could have multiple applications receiving from the microphone, you know, so that's why you got a little more flexibility there, but one way to get around that is if you're using OBS, you use the OBS virtual camera, and then multiple cameras can tap that virtual camera. I'm pretty sure. Actually, have I ever tested that before? I want to say I'm pretty sure that works like that, but now I'm trying to think, does it? I don't see why it wouldn't. Pretty sure it works. And that's especially important, like in this case here, now what's happening is the Vtuber app is reading from my webcam, and then that means OBS cannot get access to my camera, whereas before, when I'm using the audio voice-activated Vtuber character, that one, you know, that one just works. You know, that one is only using audio, so it's not using the camera at all, so there's no conflict between the camera and the Vtuber face. In this case, I thought if I activated the OBS virtual camera, it would, you know, allow me to get around that limitation, but I'm going to have to explore that a little bit more. But anyway, let's talk about the design very briefly. So we have an application called Vroid Studio. I believe it's like steroids, but Vroids. And it opens up on my left monitor, because why would it open on my right monitor? And there we go. You see I have a duplicate version of my Vtuber here and there. And we got some generic anime-style Vtuber characters. So I originally clicked on New, but we're going to load the one I already saved. And I picked a tuxedo because I know I look damn good in a tuxedo. So I figured, you know, if this thing looks good in a tuxedo, this is a representation of the reality of who I am. However, we do have jeans. I think those are jeans. Yeah, those are jeans. So that's good because it means that when I swap the top out for a white t-shirt, this will be a bit more accurate. Now, basically I just picked a preset, then I adjusted it. Unfortunately, I basically stuck with the stock hair because I really couldn't find a hairstyle that, like, worked for me. I mean, you had all this, like, long, wavy hair and shit. It's, like, not even a fro. Like, an afro puff might work better for me because then I could resize it and then, like, it would be more Italian-y than more like my hair. But whatever. So this is what we got. And you can, like, you know, do movement. You can, you know, maneuver. Sometimes when you're doing the nose, you can't even see the nose from the front. My mouse wheel is so janky right now. So sometimes when you pick a different nose, you don't even see the shadow change. So sometimes you got to do that just to kind of see what you're doing there. The glasses are a little bit big. I don't know how to resize them. There might be a way, but I'm just gonna stick with them like this. At least at it more or less the correct color. Silver and kind of silver, right? So that works. And so anyway, once you do that, you export it here. And the most confusing thing, not really confusing, but not here. You got to click on this little up arrow. Export VRM. And then when you do that, it's going to let you do stuff. It's going to say reduce polygons. Because basically, like, I guess, to help with the performance or whatever, you adjust these. So you notice that if I lower the polygon count, different things change. So interestingly, if I want to look homeless, all I got to do is lower the polygon count on the clothing and boom. Now I'm homeless. Or something. And you can even see in the upper right corner, 21,893 polygons. And then that brings it down to 18,000 polygons. So if you really were trying to, eke out more performance, what you might do is get this to the point where just below where it starts to lose detail, right? Like where okay, so there's some holes in the clothing. If you don't care about the back, that might be acceptable. You might be like, fine. But if you want the whole thing to be perfect, okay, lower it a little bit more. And that's basically good enough for a lot of people, right? That's interesting. I want to do, now my mouse wheel isn't zooming in. Why is my mouse wheel being so janky? Oh, I see. It's just the way the app works. When you're zooming in from the bottom, it does that. Okay, I want to do an experiment. Yeah, that's so you can see the polygon count impact the shoes and like all of that stuff there. You can see what changes. So that's kind of cool. But apparently you can't zoom out quickly when you're underneath the thing. Yeah, there you can see. Yes, that's kind of cool. It's just, I'm fascinated by that. All right. So anyway, you click export and then it asks you a tough question. I thought this would be better, but apparently that didn't work. So I had to export as VRM 0.0. And then once I did that, yes, that's I used Grok to generate today's thumbnail. And if we scroll up, this is the first thumbnail it gave me. The Monday show on Thursday. And I was like, I don't blame Grok for giving me that. And I said, I meant a literal thumbnail for once. So anyway, let's get back to the chat real quick. It was a Real Wade Nation. 8 hours. 8 hours. It could be fun. That could be fun. So when's your stream? What, do you have it scheduled already? Do you have a link? I definitely want to share the link out. Audio is good for me. Good for me. Good for you. Hey, what up, Curtis YZ Reacts? Hey, is the chat showing up on the screen? It's not because I didn't enable the chat. Oh, I did. Okay, good. I'm blocking the chat again. You know what? We're going to make my VTuber larger. So now that's another thing. I can move and maneuver and zoom in on the VTuber inside the app, but it's still better for me to do it this way, at least in this situation, because, I want to like basically have this guy big enough that I can now move the chat like that. So that's acceptable, right? And then where did I go? Where did it go? We're going to leave it. Oh, yeah. Oh, I guess we could bring it in front here. Where's the chat again? I lost it. YouTube chat. Oh, yeah, we have two chats. I forgot. There we go. And then when we go here, it's going to be behind my head because I don't want to make the guy big right now. I'm just going to leave it like that. Here we'll go like that in front of the quantum core. Now, I just switched to this because when I used the Genesis effect here, there's this outline, and I'm sure there's a way I could maybe put a stroke around it or something, like use some kind of filter. I think it's the light. Oh, that's what it is. It's the lighting. Hold on. I think we can fix that. Let's explore. That's what we're doing here today. We're going to explore because we're explorers. It smashes the chat really small, but the PS4, PS5 does a great job broadcasting chat and the game at once. Well, I just shrunk the chat down because, like, who cares if the corner chat is like that? This chat is pretty big. You can read the letters. I think the letters are quite readable, especially on a computer screen. And I love how the thumbnails come out. I mean, look at the detail on Feel Free to Think. Looks like the kid who reviews fast food right now. Yeah, I know. It does look a bit childish. And it's cool? With my lighting on full, my eyes blink. Do my eyes turn? They do, right? I can't really look at the screen while moving my eyes left. But I think I see them moving. My only issue is I'm curious about this. Can I, like, you know how one of my eyes kind of wanders a little bit? The strabismus? I was trying to see if there's like an option in this app that would move that one eye and kind of malalign it a little bit. But I don't think so. You know, I'm using my hands a lot, so we're going to switch to the other app now. I'm going to show you guys the other app where I can move my hands. Good literal humor. Eyes oversized too, like a tall boy that hasn't quite hit puberty. Yikes. I could make the eyes smaller, but actually these eyes are kind of smaller than stock. Like, I went out of my way to go from anime eyes to like something human-like. And that's why my eyes are like ovals instead of like, not ovals, but it's got that like, catalytic converter-like shape. The guy thinks that fast food is making him ill. That guy, I think the fast food is making him ill. He looks emaciated to me. Oh, God. Yeah, that's not good. Got you. Cool. Get that link. Thank you. What up, Curtis? Good to see you, buddy. And there's Wade's link. I'm going to try to copy that to a notepad so I can try to remember to duplicate that again later. Okay, good. I got the YouTube link. Very good. Hello, Stephanie Cruz. I look like a butler. Yeah. Hello, Mr. Banks. Mr. Banks, young Will Smith. I am Jeffrey. Or something like that. It's perfect. Oh, wait. I got to turn on the other one so I can show you my hand features. Then it'll be perfect. Although there is a major issue with the one that does hand tracking. We're going to get to that. I mean, there's multiple ways to accomplish that. But I'm going to show you the major issue with the method that I've found. I got a media question. James says, I got a media question. Is a version of The Crow, starring Brandon Lee, available in physical? That's funny. When I'm reading my top right screen, I tend to tilt my head. I don't usually notice that, but apparently that's something I do. That's not the VTuber being derpy. That's me. Anyway, let's keep going. Maybe I just roll my chair over. There we go. I got a media question. Is a version of The Crow, starring Brandon Lee, available in physical version in a resolution greater than 720p? It looks a little ugly on a 1080 screen. I don't know, but what I do know is when you buy a 1080p Blu-ray in widescreen format, like, proper letterbox with, like, it's got letterbox on a normal TV, it's not fucking 1080p. Just think about it. The 1080p. Damn it, I really gotta let's turn on the fucking visual model. Remind me. Okay. I hope I remember this tirade I'm about to go into. But first, we're going to activate the other app because this is critical. So to activate the other app, we're going to first close this. Then, we're going to observe what changed. Well, the 3D accelerator is not working as hard, but really, it wasn't working that hard. Honestly, I'm happy. I'd be happy to run a video game using that much overhead, even though it is a little bit. But when you see the next application and what it does to the resource utilization on my computer, you're going to be like, wow. But also, I'm noticing that the workload is a little bit heavier on, my first core. I wonder how, I got to check something real quick. So, last week after the overclocking experiment, I did a couple of things, and I discovered that in the process of overclocking my computer, I can run it at a lower voltage than it normally runs at, and essentially, it runs cooler at any given speed. At any given clock frequency, megahertz, it runs cooler. So I'm going to force it into high performance mode, but why is it stuck at 4.5? That's weird. Is that a thermal loading issue? Wow, that's interesting, man. Talk about, like, unexpected stuff. This happened to me last week. I was messing with the overclocking, and then the speed was, like, the temperatures were much cooler. So last week when I thought the temperatures were low, it was because of that. And that's not a bad thing. That was a good thing. Today, the issue is it's hanging out at 4.7 gigahertz. I'm trying to remember. Did I do that? I might have done that. That might be me. But, yeah, I think I reverted back to a setting that was not only stable, but power efficient. So if you'll notice here, at 4.7 gigahertz, which is about almost 1 gigahertz beyond, the base clock frequency, we're using about 40 watts. That is insanely good. Like, I'm pretty sure it's significantly lower, and if you look at the voltages, it's not even at 1.3 volts. But we're not going to focus on that. I just wanted to share that with you guys today. But this is relevant. We're going to keep that open. I did force it into high performance mode just so that it doesn't throttle down, because if I hit balanced, it goes to 3.6 gigahertz basically. In fact, it throttles up and down because I allowed it to be flexible. I decided that it wouldn't just stay at the maximum possible speed, but it would kind of do its thing. But it's giving me good balance here. In the past, however, this setting would just lock it at 3.6. This setting allows it to turbo, but it allows it not to be too aggressive, or allows it to slow down a bit. This one should force it to 100%, turbo, but I've also did some BIOS tweaking to kind of like balance that out. And power saver brings us to like a paltry 800 megahertz. Or about 900 megahertz. So we're going to go back to high performance for now. And let's get this thing open. So what app do I use? Well, let's open it up. We're going to use an app called... What the heck is the app called? I'm sure I remember the name when I type it in. Oh, yeah, I remember the name of the app because it's on my top monitor. So if we go to my top monitor where OBS is, I have to open up two apps. How did I do this before? Okay, so we got webcam motion capture. That's the first app. Wait, okay. And these are like, from what I can figure, written in Python. I think when I looked at the Git repo, yeah, so you got all these Python things here. And then we got to open up the motion receiver. So now that's going to open up on my bottom monitor. And I'm going to do some tweaking in OBS in a moment. That's good. I'm so glad I clicked hide email address. And as you can see, I'm so pretty. Hey guys. Hey. Okay, now let's load. It doesn't load my default. I got to click load. There we go. Yeah. And then now, oh wait, let me turn off the graphics. Oh yeah, so I have to go on a tirade about the movie. Good, okay, now I got my hand tracking back so I can do that. Let's turn on the background image while we're at it too. Where's the background image? Oh, that's where it would be. Aha, there I am. Aren't I pretty, guys? Wait. It's a little tricky to kind of put your hand on your face. There is a way to do it. What I've discovered is if like you want to do like, you can't pray. See, like it just, the hands go down. But what you could do is if you want your finger to touch your thumb, you put your index finger behind your thumb. Okay, now it's not doing it. Apparently the lighting is too good. Apparently that, okay, wait. Yeah, something like that. Something like that. Apparently the lighting is good now, but look at that. It's kind of cool. The power will be mine. I need a glove. The power will be mine. Okay, I feel like that's something like a villain would say in a movie when they're gripping their hand like that. Grrr. Okay, anyway, okay. So, yeah, about that Brandon Lee. Okay, so like my rant about Blu-ray. So you buy a Blu-ray like that Japanese, that Korean movie we reviewed weeks ago, right? My Way. And it's 1080p when you include the letterbox. Do I have to reset the positioning of my guy? Is he straight? I feel like he's looking down a little bit. Let's reset that real quick. That's a little confusing. How do I reset that? There's a button for that. There is definitely a button that resets it. I'm sure I've done it before. Advanced tracking. Oh yeah, was it a reset button? Set current. Okay, here we are. Idle. All right, I'm going to look forward at my screen. All right, let's see. Hopefully that works. Yeah, it's a little high. And it looks a little high too. All right, let's try that again. Now, interestingly, I can rotate my body. Something's off here. Whatever, okay. We'll figure it out later. So anyway, oh, my eyes move. That's cool, kind of. So you can see when I'm looking at my right screen. Can I roll my eyes? Ah, that hurts. Okay, we're not going to roll my eyes. So, okay, back to the topic here. Okay, so as I was saying. Can I change the lighting? I'm sorry, I'm getting OCD here, but yeah, oh, here we are. Light. The light is white. That's the problem. Okay, we got this. Oh gosh, that does not help at all. Okay, that is not... I'm gonna have to just let that be, I guess, huh? See, I really want the back lighting to be different. I don't want the front lighting to be different. Wait, is that how you do it? No, that's not how you do it. Whatever, okay. We'll worry about that later. Well, I'll worry about that off camera, right, guys? So, as I was saying, okay, here it is. All right, here it is. Yeah, so you get a Blu-ray. It says 1080p. It is 1080p, but really, the letterbox is being deducted from that resolution. I mean, the entire resolution includes the letterbox. So it's really more like 800p, which is like just a bit better than 720p. Now, in fairness, if you got a Blu-ray, a DVD that's letterbox, you're really dealing with something closer to 480p. But then they also do this thing called anamorphic, where like it's like there's data embedded in the media file that allows it to like stretch the pixels, or in some cases you literally have non-square pixels, and so when that's accounted for, you get a widescreen image, even though it would normally be a mushed up image. And so in the end, it's still like a lower vertical resolution is my point. So that's why 4K is a cool, with 4K DVD, even in letterbox, at least now you got that extra resolution where when you re-encode it. So what I do is I'll get that Blu-ray and I'll re-encode it for my ultra widescreen monitor. And usually that means I'm going to have to upscale it a little bit, or I'm going to just have to sacrifice a little bit of resolution. Oh, look, there's a little glitch on my shoulder. I give my heart out to you. Okay, I better not do that. Okay. Imagine if I had a real glitch like that and people were like, it's a Yahtzee. All right. Let's see what the chat is saying. I'm sorry, I got sidetracked. So bottom line is, I don't know anything about the movie The Crow. But your guess is as good as mine. I would usually just search one of those media websites that makes a list of, oh, you can't see me holding the bottle. That was refreshing. Tastes a little bit like the plastic in the bottle. I might have to refill that. Hey, what's up, Pop Coach Mechanic? But yeah, definitely check. That's a long commitment. I will have to think about it, check my calendar, and get back to you. Plus, I was going to get back to you about the Game Boy today, but as you can see, I didn't even make a thumbnail for my stream because I was ready last minute. But yeah, I did unplug your Game Boy from the battery charger so I don't cook it. And I want to test it now. And I was going to do that today, but clearly not. I'm probably going to do that tomorrow because I'm going to find time tomorrow to do that one way or another. So expect to hear from me between the hours of 7 p.m. and 11 p.m. tomorrow. Where do I look? Oh, back at the chat. Oh, yeah. So anyway, yeah. So they do that. Oh, cool. You can see me pick my nose. Anyway. Yeah, no, that's basically most of the tirade on that topic. That, you buy Blu-ray, they say it's 1080p. I don't understand why they can't just, make the letterbox portion 1080p and then accommodate it to be downscaled or something like that. Maybe I'm being a little bit too greedy here. It would make sense on a 4K TV. I guess I can understand why they do it that way. I can. And if you buy a Blu-ray movie that isn't, like ultra widescreen, if it's actually normal widescreen 16:9 format, then yeah, it's going to look like it's going to use up the entire resolution of your screen. So that's cool. Indeed, Cotton. Sweet. If you're running only half wattage, I would think it's going to last way longer than cranking the voltage way up. Oh yeah, absolutely. And that's why when you're overclocking, essentially what you're doing is you're increasing the clock multiplier, and then you're also increasing the voltage, but apparently there's, I never really understood the relationship between clock multiplier and voltage. And essentially what's going on with that is, I'll show you. I'm going to pull up the app again. This is pretty fascinating stuff. I mean, I can show you I can send you a copy of the whole AI conversation. I kind of did this with an AI conversation on ChatGPT with the PC Hardware Pro GPT. But let's take a look here. So I can't see my OBS. So I'm going to just maximize that for a second. Okay, good. All right. So essentially, the clock multiplier is the number somewhere up here. Yeah, right here. It says 100 times 47. So essentially 100 times 47 means that's 4.7 gigahertz. Now we're looking at 98 watts. There we go. Now this is in line with what I was expecting to see. So you know why we're running at this speed now? Because we're running this Vtuber motion capture thing. So now it's taking the extra speed that it needs, so to speak, right? Now, to really get an idea of the speed, you would open up CPU-Z. Now, I have two versions of CPU-Z on my computer. I have one from MSI, and I have the original one. And I have music coming out of my computer right now, but I don't know what display is coming from. Seriously, I'm just going to mute my audio until I find... I literally don't know where that sound is coming from. Do I have a YouTube video playing? It doesn't say there's any YouTube video playing. Huh. I feel like a boomer right now. I don't know where the music is coming from. I'm going to check my sound mixer. Chrome. It is coming from Chrome. Which copy of Chrome is it coming from? Because I got 3 instances of Chrome. All right, let's switch. Oh, excuse me. I don't mean to belch, but... Oh, excuse me. Okay. Does it belch? Does the VTuber belch when I belch? I mean, I guess he wouldn't have to belch, but, you know, I feel like it'd be cool if, I don't know. Okay. Oh, yeah, that's what's happening. So, I don't know who Wolverine is. Is that someone recommended to me? Oh, yeah, I'm subscribed to Wolverine. Wolvie during repo. Okay, we'll keep that one open in case I want to check out their work, perhaps. I'll bookmark it. That's what I'll do. Oh, Logan's on. Logan, we got 3 people on. We got Logan, Animate 1990. I'll just show you guys. We got Logan DP, Logan Denier Productions. We got Aris 218. We got Anime Night 1998. They're all good people. I recommend you, especially Aris and Anime Night 1998, 92. Logan, I only met me recently, so he may be cool. I'm kidding. He's a cool cat. No, jokes aside, I like Logan. Now there's actually like a funny thing where Elle had her AI persona. She created an AI character basically, and you know, like they had a conversation. It was pretty funny. It was pretty fun, and actually, they had a good interchange on heavy metal. Okay, hey, wait, where's my VTuber? He's not on the screen. I'm sorry, guys. We gotta turn on the VTuber. Did I turn it off? What did I do? Oh, I never copied it to the screen. Where are my manners? I'm sorry, guys. We're gonna fix that right now. Copy. Paste. Yeah. Mr. Banks, I'm here with the Grey Poupon. There we go. If you are running... Oh, I can pretend I'm reading the chat. I wish I had my phone on my desk right now. I could look down at my phone and do this. I could read the chat like that, but I can't. I gotta look up. If you're running only half... Oh, yeah, you said that. Yeah, so, okay, back to the science here. Okay, good. So, anyway... This gives a little more detail here. So, you can see 4.7 gigahertz, while over here it's showing 4.6. So the task manager either, I don't know if it's averaging or if it's giving like an incorrect report, but that's what task manager reports. So back to here. So now we are closer to like 100 watts. Now, bear in mind, if 3.6 gigahertz is supposed to be, I think, able to use up to 95 watts, and then it goes up to 130, 150 watts from there, depending on how, you know, how, if you are running at full turbo or if the temperature allows for full turbo. And we basically have a configuration that allows it to flex between a range of voltages. So you're not just setting a static voltage and locking an overclock in, which you could also do, which could be a little wasteful on energy, but certainly it's an option. And that's how you would have done it in the old days, right? Like 10, 20 years ago. Especially 20 years ago. But essentially right there, it said 47, 45. So it's basically moving the clock multiplier up and down when it wants to increase or reduce the clock frequency, or when it gets hot and it wants to throttle down. But when you increase, let's say I want to bring it up to 5 gigahertz, that's going to be a 50 times clock multiplier. So ideally, you're not going to go straight to 5 gigahertz. You're going to maybe increment up 4.8, 4.95, you know? But either which way, when you do it, when I was interacting with the AI doing it, the AI, you know, tool or whatever, the GPT feature, it would basically advise me, increase the voltage between this and this. If the system is unstable when you crank up the clock multiplier to a given setting, increase the voltage like another half a volt or another quarter volt or another 0.1 volts. And so the idea is that you really don't want to go and increase it to the voltage that everyone else has. You want to only bring the voltage as high as is necessary to maintain stability. And so, you know, as a result of getting it up to 5 gigahertz and seeing how hot it ran and how it was always dumping all this heat out and it was still getting stuck at 4.8 or 4.7, and that's why I came up with the liquid cooling concept I shared on the stream a week ago. What I also learned was, after doing that, I also now had some voltages in my settings. Like I had it configured in such a way that if I wasn't overclocking it, I mapped the voltages that my CPU can handle. And as it turns out, it can handle lower voltages while remaining stable at any given speed. And that means that if we're just running at stock clock frequencies, if we're not running, an overclock per se, and especially like at any of the lower speeds, it's using less electricity. And that's pretty exciting. Now over here, you can see we're still using about 100, 110 watts here, I guess, right? If we account for these two numbers on the right. But I'm pretty satisfied with the result. I'm going to go touch the air vent on my computer. Yeah, it's not that hot. Now, also, yes, this character here, I can adjust the distance from the camera. Like if I move away from the camera, this will move. But I disabled that because things get real janky. But before we do that, we're talking about performance. And in the context of this, you'll see right over here. Look at that. Like, look at my CPU usage right there. It's ridiculous. Like, it's at like 100 and something percent. You want me to do a face palm? Like, I could try that. I'll try that. Kind of works. Wait. I'll have to work on it. The name is Bond. James Bond. Dun, 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 dun. Right. Hey, what's up, the lovely Sherry? It's lovely to see you here tonight. See, everyone's avatar picture, everyone's thumbnail looks better on my channel. No, jokes aside, though, it's the plugin, not me. But the plugin does a great job with the thumbnail, as it really does. I mean, look at Cotton Ministries. Like, I didn't even know he was a bishop until I saw that picture in great detail. But he is a bishop of the Cotton Ministries. I mean, that is a bishop's hat right there. Either that or cardinal. He might be a cardinal, but there's not as many cardinals as you know. If you know anything about the archdiocese, you know there's not that many cardinals around the world. There's many bishops. That's kind of cool, like a benzene loop. It was only $4. I don't feel ripped off. I just like a better burn. Whew. I could upscale it via transcoding, but that might make it take a... Oh, yeah, so... Yeah, you could. I mean, depending on your specs, it might not be that bad if you're willing to just let it chug on the problem for like the better part of a day. But you're right. I know what you're talking about. Like some encoding jobs, video encoding jobs, and especially when you're applying exotic upscalers to them, can do it. It can take longer. But, you're not, presumably you're not applying a deinterlacer. If you're dealing with something that's not progressive scan from a DVD and it's interlaced, then you got to apply, I mean, I would recommend you apply deinterlacer. Or you get a bootleg copy of Topaz AI and you upscale it and you cross your fingers. Now, Topaz AI, I've learned, it can do upscaling of CGI and graphics like that really well. It can do a lot of like things really well, but it also does a few weird things. Like if you look at the stubble on a guy's face and it's already a dark, poorly, like low light, a scene with low lighting, you'll see weird artifacts that look like a checkerboard pattern. You won't see it from far away. What will happen is, from a distance, it'll look like you have more detail. But when you zoom in on it, if you're trying to do a good upscale, you got to pixel people. You zoom in on it, you overanalyze it a little bit. And it looks like a checkerboard pattern on the face. And what's weird is from like one frame to the other, or if you go in 5 frames, playback, let's say, like while zoomed in, it'll look like there's a ripple, like a woo. Look at it. The hands could be really handy for this. A ripple going over, almost like a wave going over the stubble on the face. And that looks really weird. Once you know it's there, you can't unsee it. But, yeah, so I would use, like, the app I use. I think I've shown it before. I can show you. I can send you some information about it. I can do a little video about it or show a past stream where I demonstrated the workflow. But many ways to skin a cat on this. I use an app called Hybrid, and it has a de-interlacing feature that's really good called QTGMC. And essentially, it uses VaporSynth. Now, VaporSynth, you could like get the Python scripts and cobble it together yourself, but that can be kind of a pain in the ass if you've never done that before. I found it to be a pain in the ass. So this app is nice because it has that stuff bundled into it, And, you just pick the preset that's appropriate for the type of content you're doing, and if I, and one thing I know is that if I do like a 1080i to 1080p or 1080i to 720p de-interlacing job, it could take like 15 hours, especially 1080i to 1080p. 15 hours the computer is running at full load to convert like 90 minutes of video. Like that's madness right there. But you don't always need to pick that aggressive of a setting, it turns out. So in my case, I feel like there was enough detail, it was worthwhile, but if the resolution, if there might not be a benefit. Like I was using a very slow preset. I could have used a medium preset and it probably would have been fine. And I mainly use that for when I'm doing VHSs or interlaced DVDs, but because a lot of stuff I record on TV is interlaced now, I found a more lightweight, a faster de-interlacer. I wouldn't use it for things I truly love, but for most things, it's quite fine. And it's much faster. And so that's like because I'm working on a script to automate converting my TV recordings because, I have like a DVR, right? Essentially a computer DVR on a computer. And the recordings are like in basically the same format as a DVD. It's a variant of MPEG-2. So you end up with these large files that you can compress in a modern encoder, right? Just making them to X264 or MPEG-4, you're going to get a smaller file right there. But in the process, you might as well de-interlace it because otherwise my media server is going to have to transcode it while I'm watching it in real time. And you can't always count on the results being the same, on different playback devices and stuff. So I'd rather just bake the de-interlacing into the file, But yeah, that's something that if you know what DVD you have, or if you have the barcode on that, send it to me, James, or leave me a comment or something, and I'll explore that. I think it's because it's likely a cheap Blu-ray and surround sound was a higher priority than 1080p plus any subtitles. So it is on Blu-ray. Interesting. Okay. Yo, dude, what's up, Comic Relief Crusaders? Good to see you. Oh, see, this is what I'm talking about. These thumbnails look so big on my screen, and it's like this guy's got like a transformer with a hat written in Japanese on. That is cool. I don't know if that's Japanese. Sometimes you tell AI. I told you, buddy, between 7 and 11 p.m. tomorrow, I have to get back to you. I have the Game Boy standing up on top of a Erlenmeyer flask. Okay, now it's standing on top of Erlenmeyer flask. An Erlenmeyer flask is a flask. Okay, so that's another story. But yeah, lab glass. I'm starting to build a meth lab. Anywho, Pop, Sherry, I'm certain I accidentally lost someone's name. Well, I lost my name once. But that was a really wild Saturday night. My phone's making noise now. Where is my phone? My phone is on the floor. I need to retrieve it. Wait. Now, what happens when you go off camera like this, it gets a little derpy sometimes. Sometimes we have to reset it. I think it's fine. So anyway, getting on to the topic here. Wow, we got a lot of chat here. I think it said HD, not full HD. Okay, so yeah, HD would potentially be 720, full HD would be 1080p, UHD would be like that 4K. No doubt. Well, I appreciate the hi and I appreciate the like. Because I'm sure you gave a like. Look at that. We can do a thumbs up. That's cool. And I can smile too. Look a little bit like vampire. Oh no, you can get vampire fangs in these if you want. I don't want vampire fangs, but you could do that. Oh, you want to see something cool? I'm opening my window. I closed my window now. I'm going to reopen my window. Just a little bit. Okay. That's so funny. Oh, I don't know. I'm using myself a lot. A little bit of mouth movement. Maybe I'm moving it on purpose. La 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 blah 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 la. Oh. Going to the doctor. Okay, I'm sorry. It looks like you're trying to smell your breath. Maybe I am. That's how accurate this thing is. I'm like, Well, everyone knows to smell your breath, you gotta do this. And if your breath smells, usually you can't smell your own breath, but if you can smell your own breath, you know it's bad, right? What's up there, Nagato? Good to see you, Nagato. Nagato. I don't know if it's Nagato or Nagato, but either way, cool name. I just took lunch, so late greeting. Ah, you're in that time zone. Yes. You're in the Pacific Rim as well. I love having friends in the Pacific Rim. I think that's really cool. That would probably work part-time, at least for hard CPU loads. Wait, what are we talking about? The transcoding thing? Or are we talking about the real-time deinterlacing? Or are we talking about the like 12-hour encoding job? But essentially, yeah, for my case, I'm going to do it as a cron job. I'm going to schedule it on my Linux server. And either it's going to encode them on the network drive, or more likely, I'd like to just copy the files one by one, perhaps, encode them on the server, and then send them back to the other computer and then delete them or something like that. Like, the key is we don't want a script that encodes the video files, then deletes the originals. Because what happens if for any reason there's an oopsie and it doesn't encode the video files, but then it moves on to the next step where it deletes the files. So, I mean, logically, you just have to include a step in the script that checks. And if you're writing the script with AI, you got to be careful, because once you add too many features, things start to fall apart. So, you essentially, like, I'm learning that you got to kind of keep it simple and maybe modular. You know what I mean? Like, just, you know, get something to work and then leave that as a self-contained thing. Okay, yeah, this doesn't work when I try to put my hands together like this. Chop. Okay, I'm moving too fast. Oh, speaking of fast, I gotta show you guys that next. I'm way out of the loop. I haven't burned a disc in nearly forever. Yeah, I mean, I remember when I first did it, it wasn't like burning a CD, right? It's like you had to know how to, like, deal with video encoders, and that was an alien concept to a lot of people back then. Like, sure, we knew about audio encoding, we knew, like, lame encoder, for example. Like, you know, you would, like, rip a CD to a WAV file, then you would use lame to convert the WAV files into MP3, and then, you know, all that jazz. I just think a dual layer Blu-ray would be sufficient capacity, especially if they use a smaller audio codec like PCM. Yeah, well, actually, smaller than PCM. What you're right, because PCM, the Galaxy Express 3.9 Blu-ray I have is encoded in 16-bit PCM, and I think it's like 300 megabytes for the audio track. For 24 minutes of audio is like 300 megabytes, and like AAC gets it down to, like, I think like 40 megabytes, and I think like FLAC gets it down to 80 megabytes. And FLAC I would use, but it's not necessarily like compatible with MB. I think MB either transcodes it or doesn't even play it. So either way, it's a lose-lose for me. But I would like the idea. I would like to just use FLAC. Oh yeah, DaVinci doesn't support FLAC. That was the other issue, I think. But like, in theory, FLAC seemed like a good option. There might be some real issues with using it anyway. There might be a valid reason why they don't have it in DaVinci's, you know, last I checked, it wasn't available in DaVinci. But that means that anytime I want to edit a file that's encoded in FLAC, I have to re-encode it and then bring it into DaVinci if I want to, like, make clips out of it. So I don't use FLAC in that manner. But for music playback, I use FLAC. Like, if I rip a vinyl, I haven't done it in a while, but I have a vinyl player that I can rip vinyls with. And at some point, maybe I'll buy some vinyls that I actually love, and I'll do that. Fingernail polish. Do I have fingernail polish? Oh, thank God. I don't have fingernail polish. Or gloves may actually make the hand tracking better. Oh, fingernail polish. You got a point there. Well, I'm not doing fingernail polish. However, you got me thinking here. What if I get invisible ink fingernail polish? And James says, hello, Nagato. I like a wave. In fact, the way this waving works, this is going to be very interesting, guys. I got to show you something really interesting about that. No data hoarding until you have at least one solid copy. One solid copy of what? Oh God, I'm blowing my nose. You can see that. I forgot. So funny. Okay, so I just grabbed the tissue, right? And I went to use it. So let me get a clean tissue here. Okay, this is wild. This is cracking me up here. So I take a tissue, right? I'm like, okay, nobody can see me. I'm not on camera, so nobody can see me, right? You know, like, it just, you forget that you're doing this. So I'm on camera. I'm doing my thing, and I'm like, wait, try that again. Oh, the tissue is too big. Now you can't see my finger. Okay, let's try this again. We're going to do it like this. It's funny. Okay, I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. Yeah, well, not necessarily. I think it's like, I thought 160K does that, or 128K does 1/10, and then 320 gives you less aggressive compression, but like it's not bad. Like in fact, it almost makes it unnecessary to use a lossless audio codec, arguably, depending on who you're talking to. But I'd say, like, there's a reason FLAC was developed. It's newer, so yeah, it's got its uses, and we live in an age now where it's okay to have 40 megabyte tracks. Whereas at one time, 40 megabyte tracks in the form of a WAV file, perhaps, was kind of ridiculous. Now, 10 tracks is 400 megabytes. Now, at that point, you're basically back to the size of a CD. And, that's just like, it's something that you can't do when hard drives are 1 gigabyte. Oh, man, message retracted. I wanted to read that. That's why it's good to be a mod, because sometimes when you're a mod, you can read the retracted messages. Like, I just read them for the fun of it. Like, ooh, what did this person say? A tuxedo should include a pocket square and a handkerchief. Especially if I'm going to be picking my nose on stream and you guys can see me doing it. I should be able to pull it out of my pocket, like, wait, this pocket. Yeah, that one, and do it. I did think of an idea where, like, maybe I could use video compositing to show real objects, but the problem is that you need to have the ability for the, like the overlay to move, and I don't know of any real way to do that unless there's some like other motion tracking application that you can do that. But let's talk about the mocap. So how does that work? Well, let me show you guys. So first I'm going to go into my OBS and I'm going to just enable something. So hang with me one moment. Un momento, por favor. In the meantime, I'm going to just switch scenes in OBS so that I don't accidentally show something. Like my massive collections of pics. No, I'm kidding. But jokes aside, we're going to put the turtle on. There you go. You guys can look at Poffy in the meantime, all right? Hey, wait. Don't I have the Vtuber on for that? Let me turn on the Vtuber. Oh, I never copied the Vtuber to that one. All right, we're going to copy him right now. Okay, so we got to copy webcam motion capture thingamabob. Go here. Okay, there we go. And then, hello, Poffy. Daddy loves you. There we go. Hey, Poffy. I'm sorry, it's being corny. It's my turtle right there. Isn't she beautiful? That's so cool. The hand is a little derpy. Ah, don't bite me. Don't bite the hand that feeds you. Okay, I'm sorry. It's being corny here. All right, let me just finish. Let me just make an adjustment real quick. I got to go into another panel and I got to make an adjustment here. So we're going to do window capture. And we got to, what's that called? Webcam capture. And then we got to go into this thing here. And then I got to click on a button that's probably going to make my avatar freeze. And that's part of the problem is this application. You're going to see in a moment. You're going to see how it's janky. Yep. Janky is its middle name. Okay. Then I gotta switch it on again because sometimes this app will do this janky thing where I gotta like mess with it. Oh, that's interesting. It was already in high speed mode. Alright, waiting for it to load. Maybe it'll load, maybe it won't. Seriously, this is part of the problem with this motion capture app here. So it's basically two applications. The app with the animated person in it, and then there's this like other app I downloaded that does the motion capture off of the webcam basically. And, you know, a good motion track would be like something where you have sensors or like almost like the HTC Vive VR unit where like it's got like things you put on shelves and it kind of measures the distance between the headset and you and all of that magic. Parallax or whatever it's doing. I think it's using infrared sensors or something like that. And that's why the nail polish idea that James brought up is interesting because hypothetically if I was using like maybe like invisible ink or nail polish that reflects infrared light, I could potentially, just kind of like, just make sure that it's invisible to the camera. Well, it would usually, that's a tricky, I guess I could use, I think I could make it work where it wouldn't necessarily be visible to most people, but it would be visible to the camera. That could be interesting. Or maybe I don't need nail polish. Maybe what I really need is just to paint little dots on my fingernails. You know what I mean? Like just one little dot. Okay, there we go. Now we got it. Now we just got to make an adjustment here because I want to hide the corner of my screen a little bit. There we go. Because I left a few empty soda cans in the corner. So that's why I was off camera for as long as I was. Right, so there we go. So now you can't see the empty soda cans. Wait, oh, okay, there we go. So if you look at my hand here, you're going to notice, oh, you can see the empty soda cans. That's funny. Okay, maybe I should just not try to hide that. Anyway, you can see here, this one's working pretty well. There's a slight delay. This one's actually working better than before. Obviously, it can't do that. Not bad. That's not bad, surprisingly. But this app is sort of janky. So if we look at the menu here, which you can't see because I blocked it with my shoulder because I'm trying to like hide my soda cans and amongst other things. Maybe I just throw those out. Those are just energy drink cans. Oh no, the camera's on. Okay, good. You can't see that. I have to try to adjust this. Match window title, capture method. It's not showing the title bar. That's annoying. So it's not showing the title bar. And unfortunately, I got to show you the title bar. Screw it. I guess I'm going to have to show you this window. Or screw it. Just take my word for it. Next time, I'll clean the windowsill so there's no soda cans or anything up here. No garbage bag hanging from this pole where my webcam is. That's actually part of it. I have like a garbage bag hanging from the pole where my webcam is today. So I did a little cleaning and I didn't have time to take out these garbage bags. So you can see the garbage bag. I'm holding it right now. As you can see on camera, I'm holding a garbage bag. Okay, but jokes aside, yeah. So I didn't want to like really show you that I have a garbage bag hanging from my webcam. And that's primarily the concern I have here. But my point is that in the application I'm running here, there's a preferences button at the top. And when you're in the app, you saw in the app when I was waving my hand, there were little, you could probably barely see it, but I'll record a video after I take out the garbage, okay? I promise I will take out the garbage and then I'll record a video. But essentially, it's got to be a way. Let me just give me a second here. I'm gonna make this happen here. We're gonna make it happen, kids. Oh yeah, I know what I could do. I'm sorry, I got this. I could hide the garbage bag. See, we just did. See, that's the garbage bag. Now it's gone. Out of mind, out of sight. So now I can show you. Now, interestingly, that's the size of the app. That's the size of the app. Now, the only thing you cannot see in this mode is the title, the menu bar. So in the menu bar, there's a button that says Preferences. And so I'm literally moving my mouse over it right now. It's got a submenu, Capture Speed. Below that, it says IP address or port, because essentially it's using the networking to like relay its information to the Vtuber app. So the Vtuber app is really just calling up the data from this app via a TCP port. It's just that you're not on the network, but it gives me an idea actually. This gives me an idea. But if you're running the app on the same computer, you're just using the same IP address, or you're using the loopback IP address like 127.0.0.1. And essentially that's just saying like return to sender, right? And when you use that, then the application uses a port number, and the port number is just basically saying like, it's almost like it's unique to each application. So any application that has to answer an incoming connection on a network, even if it's not technically coming from the network per se, it answers that incoming connection via a port number. So in order for anything to happen, from an outside computer to go to an inside of a computer, it needs to get through that port. And that's basically what firewalls do. They block the ports unless in the settings for that firewall, it's configured to either allow that port to come through or, something like that, and that's port forwarding basically. Also, you can't really forward the same port to more than one computer on the same network. So that's another reason why I use port forwarding or NAT. network address translation. I'm not an expert on this. Do your own reading on these topics. But anyway, so that's the second menu item that you can't see. Then it says use direct show. Flip left and right. I flipped it left and right for the reason I mentioned before, although I don't know if that's actually necessary. Flip up and down. And then the first menu item that you can't see was capture speed. So right now, there's 3 settings: max speed, high speed, and low speed. Next to high speed, it says, I think it says less than 30 frames a second, or is it more than 30 frames a second? I think it's less than 30 frames a second. I fucking hate the greater than less than sign. Like, ever since the teachers who taught us about greater, you know, the greater than less than sign, you know, they give you like the little sign and they go, this is an alligator, or this is a shark, and the big shark eats the little fish. And so now you think that the greater than less than sign means that if the mouth is bigger on the big shark, it's greater than the little number or something like that. But no, that's the most confusing thing. It's ass backwards. And the bottom line is, I believe the greater than and less than sign is... Okay, wait, let me figure this out. This is the greater than sign, right? And this is the less than sign. And I believe the pointy bit points at the greater number. So really, the number that would be greater than would be over here. Okay, whatever, I'm done. Okay, I'm done explaining mathematics here. It's not my field. But anyway, so whatever that number says, it's got this symbol with a 20 next to it. That's the low speed. Then the other one is high speed. So low speed is this symbol with a 20 next to it, like this. High speed is this symbol with a 30 next to it. And at max speed, it doesn't tell you. But all I know is that when I have the max speed setting selected, this usually gets a little laggy. And that's why I have the camera in the corner. So I'm going to enlarge that picture a little bit for you guys. Because even though it'll be pixelated, like, the app doesn't let you enlarge the picture, but I want you guys to see it. So notice that white line. So it's doing some kind of rigging, or it's at least superimposing, you know, tracking points. And then I don't know how it's doing the fingers at all, but the fingers clearly work. And actually, the delay is not existent. Maybe I had some app running in the background before that I closed, but this is not bad. We're going to try to switch it to the high speed setting. This is what I was talking about before. The app is janky when you do that. So whenever you switch the speed, what happens is you click on the speed, the camera turns white, you wait a few seconds, and then usually if it's working, you'll get a black box followed by your camera. When it doesn't work, you'll get a black box followed by nothing. So when that happens, what you do is you switch to any other speed and you hope it works. Then you try switch back to whatever speed you were trying to test. Now, good, this is the low speed setting. Now, you can tell in the video the frame rate is much lower, but it's very responsive. Look at that. Like, it's almost, you know, one-to-one parity. And who cares what the frame rate, the polling rate is? If the other app is smoothing it out anyway, I don't know if the app, I think it's smoothing it out. I'm not really sure if it's smoothing it out, to be honest, but it seems to be a lot more responsive. I mean, yeah, obviously it's got limits, but I think it works, you know? So let's get back to the chat real quick. And I appreciate everyone's patience while I messed around with that. Oh, we got Slim Lim here. She's so pretty. I know, wasn't she hot? I mean, she's pretty. Okay, here's my theory why the video is not great. PCM X5 discrete tracks is almost, oh yeah, what is a large file? Yeah, you know. I don't think are they using PCM on all of the 5 or surround sound? They might be. Okay, so that 200 megabyte number I gave was for stereo sound. So maybe that's like 650 megabytes or 600 and 750 megabytes. So that would be for 24 minutes. There might be something I'm overlooking. I have to research that. I have to get the specs on your DVD, Blu-ray, and just take a good darn to look at it. You know, because I know they give you the specs on the back of the box, but I also know that some websites will keep like lists of more detail, especially like the stats of what you would get if you were trying to rip the disc, hopefully. UV dye would likely work for fingernails. Ah, yeah. Or infrared. That's what I was thinking, infrared dye. I'm seeing double. I didn't know you had a twin. Hey, what's up, Mike? Mike was playing a fire game today. What is that? Ronin Warriors? I remember there's a show in the 90s called Ronin Warriors. But yeah, that Ronin game. I believe it's a game about an African-American samurai. Actually, I'm exaggerating. I don't know if that's true. But anywho, I think that was the controversy in the media. I don't know. The gaming media. Hey, can I wink? No, I cannot wink. Can I blink? Hey, blinking's not working anymore. Oh, this app I never said. I don't know if I can blink in this app. The other app can do blinking. This one can't. The other app lets you wink too. I was able to do wink in the other app. That was kind of cool. Hey, what's up, Slim Nim? Yeah, I was just doing a little experimentation here. A little R&D, research and development here. In the name of streaming science, Slim Nim. And so, anyway, the first app I used has head tracking only, and it's very CPU efficient. And so let's get back to that real quick, because that's real important that we talk about that. So, anyway, bottom line is that, while before you saw my CPU is, how many watts was my CPU using before? Do you guys remember? Was it 40 watts? I totally forgot. But it was like less. Right now, we're bouncing between like 80 watts and like 100 watts, 105. Right now, it's actually not too bad, because you know why it's not too bad? Because remember, I lowered the polling rate. I lowered the frame rate of the webcam feature to like 30 frames a second. Well, that defeats the purpose of that. That button. Okay, there we go. So anyway, yeah, I lowered the polling rate of the webcam. And so what we have here is, I picked the like low speed setting as opposed to, it says about 20 frames a second versus 30 or whatever the max speed setting is. It doesn't give you a speed for max. But bottom line is the low speed setting is a lot more responsive. And I don't know if there's any real drawback to using it, except that if you make a quick movement, maybe it'd be a little weird. But it's like, for the most part, you can see I can do all this complicated stuff with my hand. I mean, like, it's like, sure, a proper tracking mechanism might be better, but this is not bad. Look, I can crank open my window. Like, I'm opening a real window there. And it's like, it looks like I'm opening a window, like a casement window. So, I mean, this is... Help! Help! I don't know. I just want to try that out. I wish there was I wonder how you do props. I mean, there are props in the app. I just got to explore that more on the, after hours, I think. I don't think we're going to be productive in exploring how props work. Can I blink? Oh, yeah, now I can blink. See? It's looking at my eyes now. I got one eye looking to the right. Yeah, it does not simulate the funny eye. Now, I can focus with that eye, but if I'm not consciously doing it, yeah, that eye will go over there. Now, the glasses don't come off the VTuber character when I do it, but you can see he blinks. And then when the glasses go back down, it's hit or miss. Sometimes it works. I think what's happening is... I can't tell if... Oh, I see. The reflection of my screen sometimes disrupts it. Okay, whatever. If I had anti-reflective coating on my glasses, it might work out a little better. But that's like one of the challenges. Like, if you don't have anti-reflective coating, it's like a second... Believe it or not, I've been wearing these for a while, but it's like a secondary pair of glasses. I gotta get new glasses soon. But now I can blink. I can't wink, but I can blink. Ding, ding, ding. I gotta get some sound effect. Ding, ding, ding. Like in the cartoons from the 40s. So anyway, any questions? Rise of the Ronin. You did get past the mini boss. Yeah, I think I was starting the stream as your stream was ending, so I rolled with it. And I did mention my stream in your stream, but I wasn't trying to attract viewers. I was just kind of mentioning it matter of fact, like, oh, jumping in the shower before my stream, which I did not schedule today. Which I didn't schedule a stream today. This was a last minute stream. That's why we have a literal thumbnail. That's what we did. We generated a thumbnail for the stream today. The Monday show on Thursday. Like, straight up. That's what we did. Yes, sir. That is correct. Well, a 700-minute CD, I don't know how many... I guess I'll take your word for it that it's 1141 kilobits per second PCM. I just know that the CDDA format isn't even like a real format, right? Like, CDs, when you put a CD in a computer, all you see is like track 0, track 1, track 2, track 3. And if you copy those track files to your computer, you just get like, what? Like 10 kilobytes of data or something like that. Because really those files that show up on a operating system as whatever's in that file system aren't really files in a conventional sense. They're just like there to tell the CD player where the tracks start. And of course, the CD Ripper app, the first ones, what they would do is they would do something interesting. They would actually rip the CD by playing it back one track at a time. And every CD-ROM drive at one time, the earlier ones, had an audio bypass cable. And essentially, it was like if you saw a CD-ROM drive that had a headphone jack on the front, it was because you could literally do that. So like I have an IBM PC-AT on my desk downstairs near the turtle tank. And if I put an audio CD in it, I have an app I can open up from the command line. I can open up in DOS and play CDs. It looks like a little CD player control. You could press like play, stop, like you use the arrow keys or a mouse cursor, like a text mode cursor. And you can play CDs. And then the wild thing is you can exit that app and the CD keeps playing. Because really, the CD-ROM drive is doing all of that. The computer is really doing nothing other than issuing the command to start or play or skip to the next track. And you could either plug headphones directly into the front of the CD-ROM drive and just control the volume that way, or you can have a sound cable that is on the inside of the computer that basically is the same output as the headphone jack on the CD-ROM drive. And it plugs into a port on your sound card, which is basically the audio bypass input. And so essentially you're bypassing the motherboard, you're bypassing all that, you're going straight from the CD-ROM drive to the sound card. And that would be, useful if, let's say, you have amplified speakers or your sound card is a built-in amplifier that you're happy with. And you just want to send the sound out your speakers. You don't want to plug anything into the front of your computer. So that's how that works. I'm trying to think here. So, yeah, that's how that works. And yes, James is correct. That is the CDFS. That is correct. Yeah, I do remember that. And then I remember you put in a CD, and if using various apps, it would then query the CDDB, and it would then retrieve the data, for the name of your CD and the name of the tracks there. And otherwise, if you didn't have internet connection and you didn't have that app, and you didn't have the database locally stored, then it would just, label the CD, and you would have to manually label the tracks. Otherwise, it'd be like, the MP3s would be track 1, track 2, track 3, which is kind of sloppy, right? So it's nice having that functionality. There's a lot of pre-made avatars. I remember, I was watching Zax yesterday. And on Zax's show, he had this lady on. The shits were coming out the top like that. Like, no, they were like up to here. Like, okay, this is where my boobs are, right? And like she was wearing a dress that like stopped here. I get okay, yeah, like somewhere here, and then like her boobs were like overflowing. Like if you had I don't know, if you had a balloon over your pool and you filled it up with water, I guess. But she seemed very sweet and very professional, and busty. I appreciate that. I appreciate it. I just want to, be respectful. Make sure, you understand in case you work. And so I figure you weren't bothered by that, but just, covering my bases, out of respect and brotherly love and all that jazz. That would be hilarious. Actual cantaloupes or something. Vegetable VTuber. Are they vegetables? Do cantaloupes grow on the ground? Because I believe that makes a vegetable. Or on a vine. If vegetables grow on the ground or on a vine, fruit grows on a tree. Some people say tomatoes are fruit. They might be, I guess, but I believe they're vegetables. Actually, that's confusing. Don't ask me. I believe there's a tax implication as to why they made them into a fruit. So, into a vegetable. Do your own research. Yeah, so I remember the early CDs were 650 megabytes, and then they started making CDRs that were 700 megs, and I don't think it was that hard to make read-only CDs 700 megs either. I once saw my friend Tony Tuff, may he rest in peace, good man. He was a fellow Boy Scout. He was one of the older guys, about my brother's age, I guess, maybe a little older than him, and he joined the army, and he's, served the country, years back before passing away. But this dude was cool, man. Like, this dude once gave us Unreal Tournament, and I think he gave us like a bunch of other stuff, but one of the CDRs that he gave us was an 800 megabyte CDR. I think it was Sony branded but it was 800 megabytes. Like, I don't even know how you get that extra 100 megabytes on there. You know, I don't even know if that works on every CD burner. Like, you know, like, was this thing just designed out of spec? Did it make it so the track boundary went like a little further in either direction? Like, I have no idea, but that shit was cool. So that tiny file is basically a directory. The directory, if I understand. Well, I guess it would be a directory, but it was like, it almost sounded more like a designator, right? Like, I think in the CDFS, that designator was located either on the track boundary or perhaps, I'm guessing here, we could actually look that up. We're going to look that up in a minute. Or it was located, perhaps it was an index at the beginning of the CD that told the CD player what address to go to for each track. And maybe it would read the beginning of the CD, load it into RAM. How did CDFS work? How did? Like, as if people don't use CDs anymore. People in Japan buy CDs because they like to collect them in the names of their bands. Oh, by the way, yes, we are doing an Ovil's Appreciation Day at some point in the future. Like, I'm working on a little project right now regarding the Ovil's. You know the Ovil's? Yeah, I'll show you who the Ovil's are. Ovil's. We are the Ovil's. Okay, where's their website? Kyoto Tachibana Senior High School Band. So, okay, we got two topics that we got to cover real quick before we wrap up. Yeah, so, you know, you see these girls, they dress like a marching band, and they play that orchestral music, and they have the dancing going on while they're playing these wind instruments, and they're super skilled. And I think they kick fucking ass. I think they kick ass. And basically, yeah, we got to do a whole show where we talk about their history. So I got to do a little more reading about them. But essentially the drummer, is the drummer in this picture? Yeah, this chick over here is the drummer. She's the founder of this group. And I think she's like a Jap idol or some crap like that, you know? But essentially she played the drums in marching band or something like that in the Kyoto Tachibana marching band, I believe. And then she went on to manage and build this group here. And they kick ass. And I was showing David Glenn, and David Glenn was like, do we have an American equivalent to this? Like, do we have an all-female band like that does wind and brass and dancing and shit? And I chalked it up to Japanese people are overachievers. They work way harder than we do. And so, no, we don't have an equivalent to this. Actually, I'm kidding. I honestly don't know. But if anybody knows, let me know. But as far as I'm aware, I am not aware of anything like this existing in our nation. But yeah, I think they kick ass. But we're going to do an Ovil's Appreciation Day at some point. The reason I bring them up is because you can buy a CD on their website, and it's like, it seems archaic to buy a CD, but the whole point of buying the CD isn't just to have the music, although yes, that's part of it, but it's also like a collector's thing. It's like, you know, in Japan, that's just the thing to do, is to, like, you know, buy a CD and show your love for the artist and all of that shit, you know? So I can respect that. Wait, how does CFDS work? Compact Disc File System, CDFS. So why is Google correcting it to CFDS? Google is so annoying. Okay, that's it. Oh, can you even see my screen? Oh, yeah, you could. Okay, how did Compact Disc File System work? Okay, the compact disc file system is a specialized file system designed for optical discs like CDs, organizing and retrieving data efficiently and reliably. This sounds very like corporate speak. CDFS uses a spiral track of data starting from the inside of the disc. So, you know, the middle spindle. Oh, look, he's a Yahtzee. He's doing the thing, the OK sign. Okay. But yeah, it starts in the middle of the disc. And essentially, you start from the middle and you move outward to store information. Laser technology, a laser beam. Look, see, we can do this. Lasers. Laser beams, just like Dr. Evil in Austin Powers. Lasers. Okay. A laser beam is used to read data reflecting light off the aluminum layer. Everyone knows how that works. Optoelectronic device. Ever correction. Who cares? Cross-platform compatibility. Who cares? This is not answering my question. Let's try this one here. Oh, fuck Lenovo. No, I'm not reading Lenovo. Oh, good. Wikipedia. This. What? That's all they got written here? Are you freaking kidding me? Are you freaking kidding me? Like, this is not a good Wikipedia article. I am frustrated here. Oh, wait. I think I can turn on an angry face. how do I do angry face? Facial expression. Okay, angry is F3. So what I gotta do? Do I have to hold down Alt to do that? Or just press F3? Okay, neutral is F1. Okay, so we're gonna do F3. Okay, there we go. Let's go fun. Bashful? Wait, what is that? It looks depressed. Okay, well, let's hide the... There we go. You caught me sleeping with your wife. That's what happens when I close my mouth. I'm a weak man. Ah, lost my eye in the war. That's all we got. We got that one. Oh, these are winks. That's how we wink. Okay, wait. F1. Hey there, cowboy. Okay. I'm sorry. Okay. Oh, I amused myself. All right. Yes, let's see if we could like Google how do the files on a CD actually work? How do the files on a CD, music CD actually work? Like, what do they do? Like, what are their function? You know what I mean? Like, that's like what, before I end the stream, I want to know what their function is. And I really shouldn't be reading this because I know this is going to give me a dumbass answer, but we're going to give it a chance. Yeah, see, I told you. Artwork, a lacquer layer is used to prevent oxidation. A reflective layer reflects the laser, and then the polycarbonate thing is the data is encoded by using lands and pits. Actually, no, the polycarbonate. I thought the data was encoded on the other part, not on the polycarb. Okay, who cares? Okay, as I expected, this does not tell. Here, CDDA. Standard audio CDs store raw digital audio data in a format called CDDA, compact disc digital audio, using 16 bits for each stereo channel at 44.1 kilohertz. That does not tell me the answer to my doshgone question. Okay, this is a more comprehensive explanation here. Digital audio laserdisc prototypes, collaboration and standardization, initial launch and adoption. Why would someone adopt a CD? That sounds like a weird thing to have as a baby. Current status. No, you didn't tell me how this works. You people suck. How exactly did... I didn't... Oh, you know what? We're going to ask AI. We're going to ask AI. We're going to find chat jippity doppity doo. Nobody calls it that, but it's just funny. We're going to ask AI. We're going to ask artificial intelligence. How exactly does what exactly are the files? What exactly are the files for on a CD audio disc? Yes, that is true. Digital versatile disc. Although I forget if that's a backronym or the real acronym, but I do recall being corrected and told that's what it stood for. TSMC doesn't want US plant, because Americans demand family time. Oh yeah, that's fair. Look, they work harder in Taiwan. And, I mean, look, American workers are fucking greedy sometimes, dude. Like, I watch these boomers bitching about, like, their jobs being off, short, and I get it. It's shitty that they're being made to train somebody from abroad to do their job. But it's like, damn well that old fart is getting paid way too much to do way too little. On the other hand, if the company hires you and they pay you way too much to do way too little, it is unfair for them to suddenly be like, oh, no, we can't pay you that. It's like, so both parties are kind of in the wrong, And this is why people seek work in civil service sometimes, they want the stability. And even though, like they do this, like, with the civil service contracts, where, like, they'll promise, like, really good retirement benefits to tier 1. And then everyone after tier 1, the benefits continually decline until, you get to the current generation, basically. And that's because, like, they want to continue. The union contract doesn't allow them to pay less to the early generation. So they got to give them these, like, really, really, what's the word, opulent? No. Lucrative, payouts. So instead, they just short the future generation to cover the past generation. At least that's how it appears. But I digress. I should get off my soapbox now because I'm profoundly ignorant of the details of how that all works. And in fairness, I don't think I'd want to work 90-hour work weeks either, you know? Like, I like the concept of work-life balance. And you know what? If TSMC doesn't want to build a factory here because they don't want us to have work-life balance, then good riddance, I guess. You know what I mean? Like, it's their loss because if they get attacked by China, it's their loss if they don't have a fab over here to continue their operations, right? Although it's also our loss, but you get my drift. But that's very interesting, James. I'm going to read about that. Thank you for bringing up that topic. I will hopefully have a less ignorant take on that next time. Yeah, generally CDs are pretty good. DVDs, the physical media fans act like their shit is impervious. It's not. Some DVDs do encounter bit rot. Now, of course, your mileage may vary. Do you live in Florida? Do you live in New York? Did you store your CDs, DVDs in a car? In an attic? Did you store it in a relatively climate-controlled environment? You know what I mean? So there's like different factors here. But that's why I favor the notion of ripping my DVDs and CDs, not necessarily to distribute them, but because I want to have a digital copy in my own library that I can stream to my own personal devices conveniently, but also because if the original media stops working, I have a collector's item, but I no longer have a media disc that I can play stuff on, right? Conversely, if I delete my media library bag, or if I have an issue with the media library, I can then at least restore the backups, even though it'd be tedious and time consuming. I can do it. I've sort of got the process down more and more better as time goes on. Eventually I can automate it better, right? So there's that. Silesium. What's up, awesome one? Technically, a fruit versus a vegetable, you do have the technicalities. You do have technicalities involved. Tomato is considered a vegetable culinarily because you would not put it in a fruit salad. Speak for yourself, Slim Nim. However, botany specialists technically, according to botany, it technically is a vegetable. I mean, a fruit. I don't see why you can't put a tomato. See, that's the thing, like, but I think there's another reason. I think there's some exotic tax reason, like, I can see me yawn. That's kind of cool. What camera is on right now? Okay. Some DVDs won't access an entire disc without online. What? I feel it's like a Blu-ray thing. The thing is that, like, I hear you, James, but I feel like there's a workaround for that. DJ, I have you on my TV. I'm listening to Comic Geeks. Oh, yeah, I think they came up automatically on my screen. Is that the Wolverine guy? No, that's not the Wolverine guy. That's cool. I appreciate it. You better wrap this up soon because I'm yawning. It's almost 1 a.m. anyway, guys. Who remembers having DVDs, order extras online? Oh, it's one of those? Maybe that. Okay, maybe this is just a thing I'm unfamiliar with. I'm sorry, James. Yeah, perhaps this is just something I'm completely unfamiliar with. Everybody thought it was just the most awesome thing, and then nobody cared. I do remember one thing, like, about DVDs. The menus, right? Like, you had these DVD menus. Oh, excuse me. Let me just get a little teary-eyed here from all this yawning. Huh? Look at that. You can't see the tissue in my hand, but I'm holding a tissue in my hand. You can't see me pick my nose, but I'm picking my nose. Okay. Anyway, forgive me. That's the thing, like, so I looked into this. I thought about this bright idea. I said, okay, I could rip a DVD and I could make it into a disc image. And I'm going to just do myself a favor and turn off the webcam so that if I yawn, I get all teary-eyed. You guys can see it. No, but jokes aside, we're done doing the demonstration. And bottom line is that we can do this at a higher frame rate, but it just works better. Like this. And really quickly, we have to touch on a technical point. So look at that CPU usage. That's because I'm running the motion capture utility. It uses that much CPU. That's not efficient at all. You know what I mean? Like, and that could be because it's written like in a combination of Python libraries and Python apps or whatever the Python scripts cobbled together. I mean, it works. It's free or cheap, right? So that's good. But this is a major... Excuse me, what got over me? this is a major limitation to this because it means that I'm not going to be playing any video games while using this. But in fairness, okay, I'm holding a gamepad right now. It kind of looks like I'm holding a gamepad. Wait. I can't see my camera. I'm playing Mario Kart on Nintendo Wii. Woo. And yes, this microphone stand probably doesn't help at all. Like if I maybe make it more like that. That's kind of cool. Oh, yeah, okay, sorry. That's pretty cool. Excuse me, guys. Let's close that app. But that is, hope you guys learned something today. As for the CDs, yeah. Oh, yeah, let's really quickly finish out that topic. Okay. That's my left screen. Good question. And it's a bit of a surprising one for people who used to seeing regular file systems. Teal dear, a standard audio CD like the one you play in a stereo doesn't actually contain files in the way a data CD does. Instead, it uses a special format called Redbook Audio, CDDA. In fact, the Star Wars game Shadows of the Empire actually has Redbook certified audio in the PC version. Yeah. And so the sound effects and the music are much better quality than N64, although the N64 game will always be near and dear to my heart. Okay. Instead uses a special format, oh yeah, we said that, which stores raw audio data in a specific structure. Yes, I know that part. Not as visible files like MP3s or waves. Okay, so that's actually helpful. That is correct and helpful and relevant. Here's what you might see. When you pop in a commercial audio CD into a PC, you'll usually see a list of small, like kilobytes or bytes in size, CDA files. For example, track 1, track 2, track 03 CDA, ... But these CDA files are not the actual audio files. They're just Windows shortcuts, track index references. So in other words, would you even see these CDA files in Linux? Would it even look like this in Linux? Are these even like how they store the data on a CD? It sounds to me that the CD doesn't even contain these files. It's just this is being translated from the CD file system into something that could be, shown on a Windows computer. Oh, look at that. You can see me scratch my head. Yeah, that's what's happening here. There's just Windows shortcuts, track index references that point to the locations of audio tracks on the disk. Okay. So it sounds to me that the track boundaries are physically situated at the beginning of each track. The audio is stored in an uncompressed PCM format. We know that. We've been there. That's good. It uses a structure defined by Redbook standard. Cool. No system is like FAT or Obese or NTFS. Instead, it uses track and index markers, a concept from the early digital audio storage. Want to extract quote, VIP it? To get actual audio files you can use or move around, like Wave MP3 FLAC, you'll need to use a CD ripper. Yes, I know that, but okay, so actually did address my question. Okay, it is basically my guess was correct. Those CDA files are really just referencing the like tracks, and each track has some kind of like indexing on them that, represents the beginning of a song. So that makes sense. No, let me know if you're planning on ripping or burning a CD. I can walk you through the best practices. No, I'm good. That addressed my question. I'm satisfied with that result. So, anyway. But yeah, deleted scenes. So let's talk about that real quick. So, not deleted scenes, the YouTuber, who's a cool dude too. But the deleted scenes and the special features in DVDs. So, when you rip a DVD as an image file, you can play the deleted scene. So if you have like a copy of a entire CD, and you put it in like, what do you call it? what's that shit called? XBMC or Kodi. You could literally open it up like you're reading the disk and get access to the full menus. The problem is the files are enormous. You know, you don't get the benefit of MPEG-4 compression or H.264 compression. If on the other hand, you know, I thought about the garbage truck is outside. If on the other hand, what we could do is, let me think how you do this here. I use MB. MB has a plugin that generally, in theory, works for that as well, but I don't really rely on it, and I don't really use it because I don't really want to be warehousing CD disk images that are uncompressed. But my idea would be that somebody has to rewrite or write some kind of application where you can take all of the deleted scenes and all of the special feature videos from a DVD and re-encode them into a different, you know, modern codec that generates a smaller file with no loss of quality. And then you just need something that will present it just like the DVD menus, but pointing at the, you know, new files. And unfortunately, you can't substitute. You can't just go and like open up a DVD complete with menus and then just replace the .ts files with MP4 files. That doesn't apparently just doesn't work. And apparently it takes a little bit more work to get to where I think it would need to be. So that's really unfortunate, but people could go and rip the deleted scenes and just make them available as like, you know, a separate folder. So maybe when you download a bootleg movie, they include the deleted scenes separately, but like, or part of that bootleg. But other than that, you know, unless you have the DVDs, you're not going to get that original experience, that old experience where you put in DVD and you use the remote to navigate. Like, I'll give you an example. Brandon Looney Tunes Fan 2000 has the Simpsons DVDs. And there's like a bunch of Easter eggs on those DVDs where if you're navigating the DVD menu, you just press left or up a few times until it lands on something. So you might have a picture of Homer holding a donut. And you're highlighting like, you know, deleted scenes, special features, or something like that. And then Homer's holding a donut and drooling. And when you move the pointer, suddenly it highlights the donut. Even though the donut is not a selection item, it's highlighting that selection item. And you select that donut, and you'll either get Simpsons concept art, or you'll get like a slideshow of concept art, or you get like some random clip. And just about every disc in the Simpsons DVD box set has these Easter eggs in it. It's pretty cool. And that's an experience that people don't get today, you know? And it just sucks that like nobody's done the legwork to like make that happen. And you know, maybe I should do the legwork, but I'm not really good at coding. So yeah. But thank you, Slim Nim, for bringing up the online feature that I wasn't exactly aware of. But you're right, people thought it was the coolest thing at the time. I think it completely bypassed the CPU. If you plug the optical drive into the yes, it does bypass the CPU. That is absolutely correct. Literally, the CD-ROM drive has all of the logic that it needs to play that CD. However, interestingly, so I mentioned the audio bypass cable before. So essentially, you're playing the CD, and your sound card is receiving the sound through the audio bypass cable, and so it's essentially recording the sound to an analog source. It's taking digital audio and recording it through analog. And that's basically fine, but if you have any interference in your system or something that could disrupt the quality of that recording, but generally it works out quite fine. But I remember when I was using Windows Media Player to rip CDs in like 2001 or 2002, it did have an option to rip the CD digitally, and in that situation, you did not need to have the bypass cable installed anymore. And at the time, I was using a SCSI CD burner, so it was going to the SCSI interface digitally, as opposed to just playing it back. And I may have used more overhead. It didn't seem to really the computer didn't seem to break a sweat doing it, but you know, that's how that worked. Opposite of final pressing. Yeah, there's a tiny shock with a head-mounted laser in every optical drive, especially burners. Absolutely, especially in burners. Good point, James. That is just science right there. Mad Rice, cut pineapple, redeemed receipts for points, redeemed Zin points, ordered 50 Zin points. Zin points! Oh my god. I think I have a thing of Zin somewhere. Yikes. Those things burn and kind of make me sick. So yeah, I don't think I'm ever going to finish that pack of Zins. And I only bought like one, so I don't think I have enough Zin points to do anything with. Would you like a thing of Zins? They're only like 1/10 used. You could totally have them if you want. I picked up Zin because I was told that nicotine had neuroprotective properties. So I thought it'd be cool, like, you know, if you take nicotine, you could like, you know, maybe, I don't know, learn the code or some shit. But no, it just kind of made me feel nauseous. Printed out insurance, put in cars, Put food away for later paid bills while listening. Oh, I appreciate you listening. Also, throw out the trash. I did not throw out the trash. And sadly, the garbage truck just passed my house. So this trash ain't going anywhere. I mean, I could take the trash outside. It's just not getting on a truck until next week, right? Hey, what's up there, good sir? Hello, Thread. I'm thinking around this this interactive Vtuber. I can articulate the hands in exchange for 100% of my CPU, apparently. Well, okay, 60% of my CPU. Okay, no, correction. It's actually... I'll give you the correct numbers, guys. It takes about 25% of 65% to make this work. Science. Oh, okay. Jokes aside, I like exact copy, audio copy for ripping. Yeah, so the digital copy is probably the way to go because that is going to be an exact copy of the digital data as I understand it, bit by bit. Whereas the analog rip, it's pretty close to exact, but and if you had no other choice, it's pretty good. Like, honestly, like people, like when they rip vinyls, they sometimes run an analog connection between the vinyl player and their sound interface. So there's nothing wrong with running the audio to an analog hop, not necessarily anything wrong. But like when people got the first mini disc players, one of the ways that you put music on it is you plug the audio output from your computer into an audio input on the mini disc player. You basically hit record and press play. It was like making a mixtape. You weren't even copying the digital files to the mini disc, right? So that's a little ass backwards in that example. But, you know, like internally, the audio bypass cable is wired up a certain way. It's probably fine. And plan calendar dates. I feel productive. Well, I'm glad that your productivity is good and high. And I hope you get yourself maybe some Prosecco to go with your dessert sometime. Because I hear Prosecco is a good dessert wine. I don't know if that's true, but I hear it is good for dessert. Oops, wrong one. There we go. Did I miss anything? Hey, what up, Low Spec? Good to see you, buddy. I'm sorry I missed a lot of chat. Hippity hoppity bop. Physical media is property. I mean, it is to an extent. Even technically, physical media is like a license to hold that media. Even then, you don't own it. That's why you don't have a right to copy it. But then there was a court decision that you were allowed to make backup copies of VHS tapes. So that precedent is often used to kind of like support the efforts to make it possible to maintain backups of everything, including Blu-ray. Even though like there hasn't been a revisitation of that court case. But, you know, I'm happy with sticking with the precedent established by VHS. I named it The Simpsons Sing the Blues. Anything about 50 hours a week, I want triple time. Yeah, right? My beef with boomers is the extreme in-group preference. It is legitimate ageism. Oh, that's fair. They seem to think that Gen X should work for the wage they worked for at a certain age. Which, I mean, well, literally, like that's ass backwards, right, James? Because, like, the problem is if you're not accounting for inflation, that's a problem. It's just like when people say, like, even like when people complain about Obama increased the debt bigger than anybody. And I'm not saying that didn't happen, but in fairness, when someone says it, you got to run numbers. You got to say, well, hold on. Like, you got to put it in perspective. Like, if you look at the cost of World War II accounted for inflation, if you look at the cost of the Saturn V or space shuttle program, and you look at the graph that shows you the price adjusted for inflation based on a given year, that can be kind of, that gives you a clearer picture of, you know, the money factor. But in the case of people expecting young people to work for the same jobs at the same wages they worked for 20, 30 years ago, even 15 years ago, that is madness because, like, yeah, it's just, you're not accounting for, like, you're not getting a raise. You're just literally keeping pace with inflation if you're getting paid more than them for a given unit of work. You know, at that point, like, you would have to calculate either the wage in relation to silver, gold, or bread. At least that's my theory. I like the idea of like sometimes what I do is I take old currencies, like old world currencies. And if I want to compare it to the dollar, or at least the dollar in 1920, for example, I'll convert the value of that currency or coinage into whatever equivalent it is in gold of that era. And that's sort of how I convert old world currencies, just to have an idea of like, how much did it cost to buy Manhattan, for example? I forgot how much it was. It's either $400 or $14,000. I think it was $400. But whatever it was, like, you know, you'll hear these numbers, they'll say that, oh, this guy bought Manhattan for $14 or whatever it was. And it's like, well, they didn't have dollars yet. So it was a Spanish mill dollar. Okay, what is a Spanish mill dollar? A Spanish mill dollar is a little bit more than 1 ounce of silver. Okay, so now you can convert some kind of weight value. You know, so that's how I try to do that sometimes. And it's a fun exercise when I do it. A car will eventually wreck discs with the temperature. Yeah, that's true. That's why brake clean is great on my bike rotors. I heard that it's a fruit because it's the fruit of a plant. Yeah, that's the thing. But the thing is, it's also on a vine. But I agree, it is the fruit of a plant, technically, right? Because vegetables would be potatoes on the ground, a fruit would be something hanging. But vines are sort of like in their own right kind of funny, right? But if you have fruit that grows on vines, like grapes, then a tomato is a fruit. All humidity, it is a semantics thing at this point. I can swear I saw a video that explained some legality about it that was hilarious. Like they were just trying to get the tax deal to be just right. It depends if the DVD is biodegradable. What? They make the... Wow, that's fucking stupid. That is stupid. See, like, you would think, like, yeah, we want everything to melt. It would be nice if everything was biodegradable, but the reality is, if you're storing food in a container, you don't want it to biodegrade before you get to consume that food. On the other hand, cardboard, you can have as much cardboard waste you want. It's really not that bad for the environment. You know, it just turns into wood pulp. You know, it's fine. Not a big deal if it goes in the ocean, basically. But, you know, plastic, microplastics and plastics, that's another story, right? Glass. You know, you don't want to necessarily be eating glass, but it wouldn't be that bad for the environment. But the thing is, glass can be recycled, and not necessarily the way you think. Like, my friend's mom pointed this out. Back in the day, milk bottles were recycled by just washing them out. The milkman would pick up the milk bottle. They would wash the bottle out at some other location, like with steam, you know, hot-ass water, and boom, you put new milk in there. And you could do that over and over again with the same bottles, basically, for like a pretty good amount of time. And, you know, I don't know if that's the best solution, but I guess it is less energy intensive than outright melting the glass and remaking the bottles anew every time if you don't have to. But yes, if you have a broken bottle, you could do that, I suppose, right? I know, it really does. Literally, I'm going to explore that because this is the only hairdo that looked remotely like mine. But if I had even an afro fro, I could make it into a jus fro, right? You know, like just mess with the size or whatever the shape. Super technically, the seeds are the primary fruit, and the stuff we can derive nutrients from is the secondary fruit. Maybe it's a seed thing. Like tomato seeds may digest just fine. Fascinating. The newer discs have track names encoded. Not sure if that's Redbook compliant. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I have no idea either. Or maybe they store the database on the Pocket CD players in its entirety. Or maybe your CD player is connected to Starlink. Nah, I'm trolling. I don't know that. Used Jet Audio free for burning 10 plus years maybe. I used a Head Nero, a Head.D Nero burning ROM. And I used other apps. I used many apps. I started with Adaptec Easy CD Creator. And then people on Apple, they called it Toast. Because Apple had to have a fruity name for everything. Hey, what's up, Nosferatu? How you doing, Nos? Got Nosferatu the vampire. He says, Robbie, you heard the rumor that Zach's ordered a hit on Tim? I thought Tim was already dead. Like, I haven't seen that dude. I've been looking for that dude. Like, I literally tried to message him. Like, I want to message that guy. I really do. Like, I want to know, is he all right? He wanted to have me on his show to help get me to 400 subscribers. I don't even care about getting to 400 subscribers. I just want to spend some time with the dude. You know, he's a nice dude. I mean, but I'm not saying it. I mean, I hope I'm not going to get a hit on me for saying he's a nice dude now, too. But, I mean, he's been nice to me. You know what I mean? Like, you know, he seems like an all right guy. And he does good cosplays. He does a good Ash Ketchum and a good Kylo Ren. Look at that. I can count to my fingers. 1, Kylo Ren. 2, Ash Ketchum. 3, I forget. He does a Tim Possible. That's 3. My pinky's a little messed up. There we go. Articulation. I know, I figured that's what you meant. I just wanted to read it as Robbie anyway. Juicy rumor, all ears and excited. Death is dramatic, especially Red Rum. Fruit is a seed-bearing structure, flowering plant versus vegetables are the other part of the plants, like roots, stems, and leaves. And like they say, make like a tree and leave. Nah, I just wanted to make that corny joke. And leaves to bring this topic back up. Lol, send them to me. What am I sending again? Hookers or vegetables or grapes? So tomato or fruit, then I think they flower before growing the tomata. I'll take Zin, yeah? Oh, yeah, I did say something about sending Zin around, didn't I? They can make you nauseous. All you need is a pointer for the teacher. Look, I know, right? The stick in the hand, yeah. Maybe I can get the prop installed. I think I could do props, I just don't know how. But, like, this is not going to be my daily driver at all. Like, the other one that you saw in the beginning of the stream where just me and the head moves, that's what we're going to be using, like, probably. Like, this would be cool, but I have an idea. So, because it answers to a TCP IP port, I figure what you could do is you could run this application, the one that does the motion capture, on another computer hooked up to another camera even. And then that would completely take the burden off of this CPU. So maybe that's an option. It seems a little overkill. I'm not a full-time VTuber. I'm just a regular human. But it seems like a little excessive, the resources required to do this type of motion tracking. There's got to be a more efficient way. I suspect that the more expensive equipment that does the sensing probably does the heavy lifting so the computer doesn't have to. Or this was just written in Python, so it's just inherently inefficient. Python apps are both resource inefficient and energy inefficient when you start doing really, cool things with them, right? And, you see the wattage that my CPU is dumping out right now in terms of waste heat. Just running what we're running right now. So, there's that. The lozenges aren't bad if you get something with some kind of flavor. But you need a pharmacy inside so you can buy them near expiration. Persuasive, yep. Because they are expensive for OTC medicine. Ah, yeah, I see. It's probably easier than transcoding the format on something below 2.0 gigahertz. Yeah, that's a problem. Well, you still rip the wave and you still transcode it. And actually, interestingly, the computer that I did the digital audio ripping on was the HP Vectra with a 200 megahertz Pentium Pro. Now, the Pentium Pro was special because it had L2 cache that ran at the same clock speed as of the CPU. So it wasn't like half clock L2 cache like a Pentium 2. It was full clock L2 cache like a Pentium 2 Xeon of that era, which not quite equivalent, but yeah, the Pentium Pro had some high points about it. Trump then Biden made Obama look like a skin flint. Not kidding, really. I'm not an Obama fan at all. That's fair. That would be... Well, I don't even know what a skin flint is, but that's okay. We buy land for about 300, 400, maybe less over here. The new Max, here's the new Max, which is pretty cheap, all things considered. Fascinating. They're spoiling stuff on the other stream, so I'm here. Oh, shit. Glass is sand, and sand is glass. Well, I don't know. And you know what Anakin says? I hate sand, which means Anakin Skywalker must hate glass. Which is probably why they don't have any windows in that Coruscant place, right? They got that like big, like overhang, but no windows. $24 or $40 pound, $40 pound sterling. Way back when the natives were scammed from Manhattan. Well, I don't know if this is true. I heard one version of that story from a coworker, and the problem is that sometimes he hears a fact and he thinks it's mutually exclusive from other facts, so he runs with it. But this might not be the whole picture. But he claims that like a group of Dutch guys basically bumped into, or whoever they were, bumped into some Native Americans. They were like, oh, we want to buy Manhattan. They're like, yeah, okay, you can buy it. But it turned out they weren't even the guys that owned that land, or that it was just an island that multiple Indian tribes used. I could be wrong about, he could be wrong about that. I'm just quoting my coworker. I'm not sure if I believe what he said. But it sounded like a funny, like, I could believe it, but I'd have to, like I said, like, I'm not going to, like, adopt that theory until I look into it. But I also remember watching a video by Milton Friedman, and he mentioned that Manhattan was purchased from the Canarsie Indians. And that sounds about right, you know, because a lot of places are named after Indians, and Canarsie is definitely a tribe I'm familiar with, or a location I'm familiar with. Hey, LCX, look at my hands. They articulate. Now, They articulate, but they do it at great cost. And earlier in the stream, there's a portion where I showed a motion capture app, and it's a little janky because it's written in Python apparently. Also, I think I had to make an account. It was either $2 a month or $7 a month for the other app. I think this app to work. Yeah, this thing here, the webcam motion receiver. So what I did was I paid $7 for 90 days because I didn't want to have a $2 perpetual subscription in case I stopped using it. So I was like, I'll just pay for 90 days, and when the activation lapses, I will tracking stabilizes with elbows visible to the camera. Oh. Maybe that's why I had trouble. Wait, so what if my elbows aren't... oh, I see. When the elbows aren't visible. Okay, whatever. I'll play with that later. Okay, I was just playing about... But yeah, so that's the negative of this application here. The monthly thing wasn't such an issue, especially like if you're paying $7 for 3 months, or you're paying like perpetual license, or you get the lifetime one, but... You know, paying, how much was the lifetime license? I think it was some absurd price. And so it's like, once again, if you're not committed to using it forever, like, why would you pay the lifetime cost? It's got to be a bootleg. In fact, that's probably what I would end up doing is like, you know, just get the bootleg. Is my monitor doing something funny? Yeah. Okay, not in mine. I thought I had a little shadow on my monitor that made it look crooked. But it does have good hand articulation, as you can see. My tongue doesn't work, however, and I can't blink unless I do this. I gotta take off my glasses. Although, if I had the anti-reflective coating on these glasses, it would work a lot better. Sometimes it blinks, but the angle has got to be right. So yeah, I just wanted to share that with you. Yeah, interesting experiment. The real issue is, like, I suspect more advanced motion capture L would probably not suck the life out of my CPU. So you can see over here, we have about... Like, it's using up right now 30% of this 60%. Because when you look at Task Manager, you look at the percentages, it says that an app is using 29% or 30%. In this case, the percentage of this app is the percentage of this. So if you ever see an individual app using 99% when your computer is doing nothing, and your computer says 1%, it just means that app is using 99% of that 1%. But this is not really, this is kind of a non-starter for gaming is my point. You know, the other app I was using was the one you use. I used that at the beginning of this stream, and that one is pretty efficient. Like, it uses about the same amount of my GPU, and other than that, it doesn't really make a big dent in the CPU. So yeah, that's what I learned from today playing around with this. And yes, I know I need to get, like, different hair. More me-like hair, but it's close enough for now. Anywho. He does Vtuber. It's crack. Jelly would be perfect, or jam. I prefer glass to plastic and metal cans. Recycle counts others. In the 80s, we took Coke bottles back to the store for a deposit. Oh yeah, well, we did that in the 90s too. We did that with the plastic bottles and the cans. But the cans, you get way more money out of the cans, right? Because, you know, if it's 5 cents for a can and 5 cents for a bottle, well, you know, more from the can. Cardboard is awesome weed block for lazy gardening. Huh, interesting. I didn't want to say anything, but your hair needs some volume. I know, dude, like every other hairstyle was like a Japanese anime style, Asian hairstyle, long, straight. Like none of it was good for me, but I hear you. I like the super technical answer on fruit. Didn't see these responses. Yeah, right? They do still do that with clear bottles. Brown, green, and something. Damn, I'm way behind in chat. How much chat did I miss above? Okay, good. We got most of the chat above. Luckily, it highlights. Did I see LDP here? No, low spec Linux gaming. It was like a nickel return for each. Yep. To encourage recycling. Also, because the company is literally, I think, like you pay, sometimes when you buy the bottle, especially if you buy Poland Spring, they'll literally add the bottle deposit in addition to the cost of the bottles. When I was selling them at Staples, they did that. So essentially, you pay the deposit, you only get the deposit back when you recycle it. But on the other hand, if you recycle it in your outdoor garbage pail, then I guess the Department of Sanitation gets a piece of the action. Or people who collect cans from the local garbage cans get a piece of the action. And so I remember these nerds in a political group called NYPIRG, New York Public Interest Group. They were working on something called a bottle bill, because they had it was some issue where, like, if the bottles got back to Coca-Cola, they basically don't have to give a deposit for the bottles. And so it was some way of getting the money from the deposit to go towards some shit, education or some crap like that. Jelly, that would be perfect, or jam. It's like DJ's head is an acorn. Yeah, I know, my chin is so pointy. My nose is almost big, like my normal nose. Like, you know, when I look from the side, I got that big nose. Yeah, so this kind of has that. Code typing efficient, though. Code typing? Python? I mean, efficient for the user. Not efficient for the poor computer. If we're on the same page, Joey. Might not be. I may be misinterpreting that, but yeah. So I found something nerd-tastic the other day. PowerPC CPUs are updated Motorola CPUs. Yes, they are. I think they're like little endian, big endian. I forget. I don't even know what that means. Skinflint equals cheapskate. Scrooge equals Scrooge. Ah, okay. A skinflint is a Scrooge. Uncle Scrooge from DuckTales. I know about Scrooge. I know all about Scrooge. He was on DuckTales. And then they made a Christmas movie about Scrooge from DuckTales later on, or something in the time machine. Yep. Jokes aside, I know that Dickens predates DuckTales. Something else nerdtastic. Glass eventually flows downward. It's a really bizarre material. So I don't know if that's true. Because I heard the theory that the windows in a church, like, are slowly flowing. Because glass is technically a liquid. But I don't think that's true. I think when they build the window panes, they just put the heavier side of the glass towards the bottom or something like that. Or maybe they're cooling like that. I could be wrong. But I believe that might be a myth. But glass is still technically a liquid, even if it doesn't flow. When it's hard, when it's cold. I think it was Motorola, then MCI, then ATT Verizon. Yeah, that's the progression there. And then I think James Earl Jones did like commercials for all three of the companies. 9X too. New York had New York Telephone, 9X, Bell Atlantic, and then fudge. And then Verizon. And then before that, I think they called it Ma Bell, which is one big phone company, AT&T basically, and they were the local Bell system operator. And really, the government probably should not have broken up AT&T in the 80s. That was probably a dumb idea, because they killed the golden goose that was AT&T Bell Laboratories. Okay, AT&T Bell Labs invented a lot of innovative shit. And when you break up AT&T, now they don't have that extra profit to spend on research and development. That literally was like that created our fucking internet, you know? And at least major parts of it, you know, and major features that, you know, and hardware that is required to make the internet as we know it today work. So good job, Congress, killing the fucking golden goose. I expect nothing less from government. So your advanced motion capture is zits and all. Yeah, it'd be cool if you could pop a zit, you know? So you're probably exactly right, awesome one. No. Yes, easy for the user. Yeah, like easy for the user, energy inefficient, but still, yeah, don't get me wrong. Like, I like writing little scripts in Python, and sometimes, like, if I'm going to write it in Windows CMD batch scripting, or I'm going to write it in Python, it's better to just write it in Python, or to ask ChatGPT to write it in Python. Down in a blaze of glory. I started to do my hand like that. I just felt like that would be expressive. My hand goes out to you. I'm afraid to do something with my hand right now, but I want to do a test. Don't get mad at me. Oh God, that's scary. Okay, let's not do that. I was raising my hand in class. See? Oh wait, you can't see me raise my hand. Ooh, pick me. Oh. Okay, there is a setting for off-cam tracking, but that's another story. It runs into less errors when compiling. That's fair. I mean, well, compiling, do you even compile Python, right? Well, actually, I guess you can. I don't know. I've never written anything real in Python beyond a certain point. So, I don't know. Like, I noticed there's these other file extensions, right? Like a node.py. I noticed there's other Python-related file extensions, and I have not done any research on how any of that works. I should, though, because apparently I'm going to be putzing around with it a little bit more soon, so it looks like I need to know more about that. Lol, glass is always in motion. You can see it in the very old. That's what they say. See, I don't know if that's a fucking myth, man. I'm not looking it up right now. I believe in you guys. I'll take your word for it for now. But if I find out otherwise, I'm coming back here and I'm going to make a scalding condemnation for that theory. I just want an excuse to point my finger at the screen right now. I'm not really angry. Oh, wait, let's make myself angry. Hold on. If I find out that that's not true, low-spec Linux laptop, I am going to come back on this camera and give a scolding condemnation. Do you hear me? Okay, there we go. It just, when you make him look like that, it just looks like you got to laugh like a goofball. All right. I just do that with the function keys. I am so pissed off. All right. Going to wrap this up, all right? Bell kept phones in competition because there were so many of them. Whew, almost did an Elon wave. I know, right? Well, I did this before, and that's sometimes seen as trouble, even though it's totally nothing wrong with doing that. But apparently, TV people were like, it's dog whistling. I'll show you a dog whistle. Oh, that was a real whistle. Hey, what's up, Tommy and the Guinea Pig Collective? See, I wouldn't want a dog whistle around his guinea pigs. They probably can hear. Greetings and felicitations. Of course Tommy's alive. He did a stream today, or he's got one scheduled tomorrow. I saw the name of it. I clicked notify me, but I might have napped through it. I'm not really sure. Dr. Pimple Popper. Oh, God, yuck. On the TV would likely make me nauseous. Yeah, that's pretty gross. Awesome one. It's still fascinating to watch those videos once in a while, but like, yeah, it's like, I'm good like after a few of them. The Guinea Pig Collective, awesome one. Oh, I'm sorry, I read that already. Just going through problems. You really never been in really old buildings? Like, I mean, I've been to like a cathedral. I've been to the Dunwoody Seminary, but like, what is this really that big of a thing? Like, is this like a thing? Like, I mean, like, I saw a video about cathedral, like churches and how the stained glass does that. But then I saw a video on YouTube, and you know, nobody ever lies on YouTube, right? Mainstream scientists never get shit wrong. So some guy in a video said that it worked the other way. I don't know. But does glass flow slowly over time? I'm asking Google, which is probably like the most half-assed thing ever. In 2017, students analyzed church glass in the glass myth in the paper, determining that over 1 billion years, church window. Wait, what? How did they figure out? Oh, okay, they do flow. Over 1 billion years, church window panes would flow a single nanometer. Okay, so they do flow. Now, the question is, could the composition of the glass make it flow more? You know, is there a glass composition that maybe is more likely to flow? Or how did they assemble the glass? Did they, like, heat it up and while it was still hot, put it in the window pane under gravity? Maybe that's why it was still flowing? They say it's an amorphous solid, not a slow-moving liquid. The myth is the historical glass-making techniques. In the past, glass panes were often made using the crown glass process, where a lump of molten glass was rolled and blown, expanded and flattened, and then spun into a disc, resulting in thicker edges that were often installed at the bottom. That might be true. Okay, so you know what? I'm going to watch a video of a glazer. And hopefully I'm going to find a video of a glazer who does it in the old-timey way. Like, in all seriousness, I'm curious to see if there's somebody who does the older technique, because maybe that would help to inform on how this works. And maybe then I can go to an old building and compare the glass in the old building to the glass that was, being done. Well, it's usually manufactured flat, but was it manufactured flat back in the day? Maybe not necessarily. That was the no. I would have typed more, but the phone battery tree went flat. Yes, old glass really settles towards the bottom. I mean, I'll investigate this further. Look, I just took the stupid Google AI answer, right? So I understand that you can't just trust the stupid AI blurb. And it seems like a really popular thing to debunk. But that doesn't mean it's not true. But I don't know, man. Like, and I know Vox. If Vox says it, it might not be true. Like, the fact that Vox is saying this makes me think that maybe you're right. You know, like sometimes there's a certain media outlets that you trust so little that if they say something, it's just easy to believe in the contrarian angle at that point. So you got me there. You really do have me there. You got my buy-in on this. but I'm not committed to it yet. But I promise I will truly, thoroughly research it in a way that is not half-assed. The old glass in the library is wavy and it's noticeable. But, you know what I mean? Like, the old-timey methods. You know, everything was made like shit back in the day. You know, like, they didn't have that precision shit. You know what I mean? Like, they made it like artisans. But they also, you know, didn't have certain modern things we have. Like a proper furnace with the sand casting that can make everything nice and flat, or a method of doing that. Like, you know, making telescope mirrors. Now, that's an interesting process. But I digress. P also settles near our bottom core. This is, are you sure about that? I don't know if I believe that awesome one. You know, now I'm questioning that because the media said, CNN said that happens. But I'm starting to wonder, maybe that's not how that works. If CNN says this is how this works, maybe it's not how it works. Next week on Unsolved Mysteries. Oh, damn it, I was trying to open my eyes really wide. That didn't work. These days, anyway, worked in a glass factory once. Freaking hot. Used, oh yeah, I bet it's hot. Used Camelback with ice water. Oh, that's cool. Camelbacks. I always want one of those. One of the coldest old buildings I was in was an old bakery with huge coal-fired walk-in ovens. That is dope. That is pretty cool. I would love to play with a big-ass coal-fire oven, but New York State made them illegal. New York City made them illegal. And then that dumb cunt governor. Anyway, she's a dumb cunt. An evil dumb cunt. Shovels with 10-foot long handles to load the coal. Yeah, right? Yeah, you can't get any close to that furnace, man. Imagine what it's like to be on a battleship or some kind of, you know, war machine with a steam engine. Holy shit, right? Well, it's vintage. Also, huge pains probably cost $1 million back then. Fascinating. Well, anyway, in all seriousness, I will investigate this topic, and I will not half-ass it, and I will keep an open mind. And if I do arrive at the opposing conclusion, you know, I will come back in a polite manner, because there's no reason to get combative when it comes to disagreements of the nature of that caliber. But, like, it's a cool thing. I want to believe that glass does that shit, you know? I just, at the moment, I guess I watched too many Steve Mold videos or something. But I digress, you know. I had fun hanging out with you guys today. Should I appear on camera? I should appear on camera. You know, I'm going to appear on camera. Why? Because I want to put on a show for you guys. Nah, but seriously, I just want to toggle the camera on real quick as a test. So, if I close the Vtuber and the motion capture application, my CPU utilization drops. Here, look, I closed the V, look at that. Look at the motion capture here, boom. Look at my CPU now. It's at 14%. 4.5 gigahertz, whatever. And my RAM, well, forget about my RAM. My video RAM went down a little bit. But now OBS is only using the video encoding and this much of the 3D accelerator. So that's like the difference right there. Now, how do I turn on my camera? Oh, yeah, I remember. I know this. I know how to do this. I've learned how to do this. I just have to find the item that says camera. And then I have to activate it like this. See, I'm real. I'm real. And now my fingers, now I can pick my nose on camera. I couldn't do that before. You saw the camera didn't work, but now I can do it. I digress. Mold. No, there's a guy named Stephen Mold. I think it's spelled Mould. You know, he does like some of that sciencey stuff. With the bite valve shut off and a big mouth opening for the ice cubes. Ooh, well, I appreciate knowing that. Worth it for any person. Cool. I appreciate that, James. Mold videos. Well, interestingly, slime mold, they're speculating it's got some level of intelligence, or at the very least, it has the efficient way of moving nutrients around to the point that they were able to get like arrange like nutrients in such a way that the slime mold basically built a more efficient design than the Tokyo subway system, or at least designed something that was similar to the Tokyo subway system. Ha! You're a real boy! Much like Pinocchio. That's funny, Stephanie. And the silver-infused bladder. Spendy, but totally... Whoa. That's interesting. Yeah, because I get it. Because when you're storing water in a vessel, it can get all slimy and shit. And that would help. Because, yeah, silver has antimicrobial properties, you know? And, you know, that's why they use it in burn bandages and why they use it in many other things. And, yeah, I don't doubt it. Now, I'll have to look into that, though. That's very fascinating. I had no idea they took it to that level. I just thought it was like a plastic sack that collapsed as you drank from it, you know? That is super fascinating. So anyway, with that being said, I'm going to wrap this up right now. It's getting late. I want to use the bathroom. You might have heard me fart on camera. Hey, my garbage bag is on camera. I gotta tighten this. I gotta tighten my C-clamps. Okay. In all seriousness, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. I appreciate your conversation. I appreciate, the interaction. I hope you learned something. I hope you enjoyed the experimentation we did here. And James says he thinks a 3-liter bladder is about $30. Well, my 3-liter bladder is about $20,000 on the Chinese market. Silver kill drums and werewolves. This is true, too. I keep a pre-1964 dime in my 55 water barrel. Just one dime? I guess that would work. That does make sense, though. I mean, that's actually a valid thing, though. Like, see, that's valid because, like, I don't know if it's true that you can leave a silver coin at the bottom of a milk jug and it would prevent it from spoiling. Maybe it would extend its shelf life a little bit, or its life in the refrigerator, so to speak. But it's like there's real science there. Now, of course, there was some exposés where they said, oh, colloidal silver doesn't work. And then they show a guy on like Oprah or some shit, or Maury Povich. And what he did was he took like a silver gel that he made at home, put it on his skin as like some kind of like skin ointment. But then the problem was that when he stood in the sunlight, the UV light would cause it to turn dark. And he used a lot of silver. And why did he turn silver or purple? Well, he basically turned himself into a roll of film. He like basically put silver on his skin like a photo plate or a roll of film. So when he got exposed to the sun, the film got exposed, which is absolutely hilarious. Your bladder cannot reach 3 liters, about 1 liter max. Oh, I see, James. Challenge accepted. No, I'm kidding. You ever see the Simpsons episode when Grandpa Abe has to go to the bathroom and then he has to get new kidneys? So the doctor's like, did you know? He's like, well, 1 minute he's complaining about peeing. The next minute I heard a loud sound that sounded like balloons popping. Now, I don't know if you don't pee, if it causes your kidneys to blow up. I don't think that's how that works, but the Simpsons had a whole episode about that. So anyway, with that being said, we are gonna wrap up, and we're gonna raid Aris or Logan. Let's see who we're gonna raid tonight. We're gonna raid Aris, I think, because Aris is hopefully still streaming, and I want to raid Aris. And one of these days we should raid Anime Night 1992 as well. I mean, you can raid Anime Night 1992 if you want. So we're gonna raid Aris. But if you want to raid Anime Night 1992, tell him that DJ sent you, because oh, he's over. He's not live anymore, so then we don't have to go to him. Chaos is on. If you go to Chaos, you can also say Ron sent you. And I'm gonna go to the bathroom, but I'm gonna leave Chaos on my left screen. So you pick one. Chaos for you, 728. Effective colloidal silver can see it without a laser to see the particle. Yeah, so I remember buying a brand that was using nanometer sized particles, whereas like if you're making it at home, like you could make it at home. Essentially, you're putting silver wire in a electrolyte solution, running electricity through it, and then as like how does it work? Like shit. This is out of my depth right now. It's about anodes and diodes and all of that shit. Silver infused ointment's great for burns and whatnot. Yeah, I had I put it on like itchy toes once and it cleared things up real quick. I mean, that might have been placebo. Maybe it's because I took a shower and kept my feet dry, but I think it helped a bit. DJ pours out his 3-liter Sam's Cola. Challenge accepted. No, I'm going to use either RC Cola or maybe Costco Cola. Whoever makes the 4-liter or 3-liter size bottle, right? Chaos is live, Phil is live, and Dildo. Oh, that's not. There's a guy named Sentient Dildo. I thought he was live. DLD? After dark, maybe. Oh, good night to you, Stephanie Cruz. And good night, sir, in the chat. And I think that's a fine note to wrap this up. Did I leave Chaos's link yet? I did. There we go. So we got Chaos. We got Aris. If you scroll up just a little bit, you can get Aris or Chaos. And I'm going to be visiting both in a little while. But first, I'm going to go to the bathroom. So with that being said, once again, thank you for watching. If you have any questions, comments, ideas, or concerns,